Welcome to The Backlash, a weekly discussion about the past, present, and future of Western civilization. I am your host. Somebody said that I should say hostess.
I guess
I should.
that would be more correcter.
More correcter. I am your hostess, Rebecca Hargraves.
The hostess with the mostest.
That's true. It's true. Joined as always by the wonderful Mr. Dave Riley. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
The air quality here is just ass.
Don't blame me. It's fire season, okay? Fire season is officially kicked off.
You mean FBI arson season?
No, that was last month. that was false flag season. That was last month. Now it's just fire season.
Okay.
And so everything's burning.
Yeah,
and,
that's great.
We have a nice, the smell of, burning pine wafting
Love it.
throughout the county. And it's amazing, too. I can't even see Coeur d'Alene anymore. Like, all the mountains are gone.
That is amazing.
Yeah, I love it.
Too bad you can't see the superior city from your city.
I don't know. Post Falls is the shit, by the way. But yeah, in Idaho, just in case nobody is aware, in Idaho we have 5 seasons. We have winter, spring, summer, fire season, and then fall.
We also have a construction season.
That's all year.
How are you doing, Mr. Cameron McGregor? Welcome to the show.
Good evening. Well, I guess for you guys, good afternoon. Yeah, look at that thumbnail. What a thumbnail.
Yeah.
I need the positive feedback. I don't know. I had a crisis
What do you guys
of doubt.
think? Do you guys like the new thumbnails?
I like them, yeah.
We had a photo shoot.
We did.
We got some of the, reactions, surprised reactions with jazz hands as well.
Me doing this. Yep. We had a lot of
We
pictures.
got doubles for Dave, too. So if anybody's interested in that calendar, let us know.
It's just Dave with like a little tuft of chest hair.
Oh, geez.
I would definitely buy that.
That's pretty
I am
gay.
about as tan as I've ever been, so now would be the time. I've been taking Dr. Jack Cruz's life advice, and I have been getting as much sun as I can stomach in the day.
Every morning he's out there, no sunglasses, sunning his perineum.
Building up my melanin in my skin. And actually, I used to, at night, hear like a low buzz. I have tinnitus pretty bad, but I'd hear like a low buzzing. And I remember telling my wife, I'm like, I think they're trying to like hit me with some sort of like energy weapon that's like making my ears get all funky.
That is I've heard you say some crazy stuff. That is the most paranoid thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
Yeah, I get that way when I'm left alone. But anyway, ever since I've been getting more sun, that's gone away. So
Wow.
I think Dr.
Everybody
Cruz
should
might be onto something.
Listen to Dr. Jack Cruz.
Dr. Jack Crackhead.
Yeah, who's clearly not a kook at all in his safe haven of El Salvador. You can find us on X at Real Backlash, our website, thebacklash.net. Support us on subscribestar.com/thebacklash, patreon.com/thebacklash. Send your super chats that will be read live at the end of our show to thebacklash.net/superchat. And this is very important. Sub to us on YouTube, because I cannot believe this, at Real Backlash on YouTube. We have been monetized and we can get super chats on YouTube. Can you believe this?
That is incredible.
I have been demonetized on my YouTube channel for 8 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And so it's pending, but I can't imagine they're going to allow monetization on my YouTube channel. So if you want to send super chats through YouTube, you can do it now.
I think we might be the only like right-wing podcast.
I can't believe it. You sent me that message. I'm like, it's probably not going to last long.
Probably not.
But
we have to try.
We got to try.
It could be, the beginning of a new era in YouTube's history, All of the, it was really interesting. All of the people that were like super obsessed with attacking the right wing from like both the Southern Poverty Law Center and Google, those are the same people that were really upset with what Israel was doing in Palestine.
Right.
So they did like a organized sit-in at Google.
Interesting.
They all got fired.
Oh.
And so now, and plus Susan Wojcicki, R.I.P.
Yeah,
or
really.
not. Actually, not much P, just R-A-H, maybe, rest in hell.
Yeah,
I don't
really.
know. She wasn't Christian.
All of these other YouTubers, they did it wrong. What they should have done is posted very infrequently during their child rearing years and done a tepid podcast with a civic nationalist. And then when the Overton window started shifting, start something new.
And then apply.
And then apply. I did this correctly. Playing
the long game.
We want to thank our sponsors. Buy your silver and gold at Atlas Bullion. Buy your tallow and many other products without chemicals from Idaho Tallow. And our favorite publisher, Antelope Hill, where Dave alone gets the Fell For It Again award.
Home of the infamous Fell For It Again award.
We'll be talking about them later. But first, this week, I know that you know.
Oh, yeah, look at this. This is up. It's up again.
Oh, good.
Woohoo.
Those are lovely.
And look at this gold. She added this because of me.
The gold to silver
ratio. The gold silver ratio is at 90. Historically, that's around 50. So, it's going to be
something. I'm sure you already know this. Unite the Right, I almost said podcast. Unite the Right event anniversary this week. How many years have it been? 6 years?
8.
It's been 8 years.
Yes.
I wanted to open the show by talking a little bit about how this infamous event came to be. Because if you remember Faith Goldie, we love Faith Goldie.
Yes,
but she has talked about it at length, and she's like, nobody expected this when we were going. Nobody really expected it to be anything. It's only with hindsight that I like that picture.
It's a good picture.
It's only with hindsight that we knew what a huge event this would be. It really was a turning point for the movement. So, Dave, since you were loosely involved in this event.
I knew that it was going to be a big deal.
Why? How did you know this?
That's why I went. I mean, how did I? Hold on, I'm adjusting something. There we go. How did I know that this was going to be a big? Well, I mean, my news radar. I had a radio show at the time, and I was gathering news from different sources, and everybody. This fight for the Robert E. Lee statue had been going on, throughout 2016, 2017, and things had started to heat up around it. There was a lot of news surrounding the idea that they were going to be removing the Robert E. Lee statue. And somebody had put me in touch with the organizer, Jason Kessler, and, they were like, nobody's giving this guy a platform to do an interview on. You've got a radio show, you should do an interview with him. And I'm like, this is probably going to be a big thing. So if no one else is going to interview the guy, don't we have free speech in this country? Like, let's hear what the organizer of the protest has to say. The ACLU was on his side. All of these different human rights organizations were suing the city of Charlottesville, to allow this permitted event to happen. And that turned out to be the only interview of Jason Kessler
Wow.
that happened. And he was like, I guess on Ambien or something at the time. He was like a little out of it.
Ruh-roh.
Yeah, a little bit
I mean,
of a
of
mess.
course, we couldn't have anticipated the James Fields,
No.
Heather Heyer situation. Although,
And not only that, but people forget, like, Heather Heyer wasn't the only one that died that day.
who else died?
2 police officers died in a helicopter crash. People don't know that happened. So it's like, you're down there. It was mass fucking pandemonium.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody knew what was happening. And then I remember evacuating, getting, pulled out of there, got to my car, and I drove a couple people out too, to get to safety. And it was at that time that we heard about the car crash. And then we're getting reports of the helicopter crash. And then we turned on the television and it was like, time out.
Right.
What is coming on through the TV is absolutely not what was happening on the ground at all.
Right. Charlottesville is one of the only events where the mainstream media was able to retain control over the narrative to this day. And although we all know what happened with James Fields and Heather Heyer, the average person will still talk about how he murdered her. I mean, if Trump was really our guy, he would pardon James Fields.
Right. Yeah, here's another interesting photo. That was, I guess, the National Socialist contingent, which I wasn't aware was coming. That was kind of like odd, we were all sitting there, and it's like, there was like a bunch of young disaffected white men, by the way, who were still kind of, at the center of things that are going on in American politics today. And it was people, there were locals, it was young disaffected white men that were at like Pepperdine University, people that were, being persecuted for being white, people that had been told their entire life that everything wrong with society is because of your whiteness, right? This was the group of people that had come, and they had come to protest the removal of the statue. It wasn't about anything other than that. And then at the last minute, this National Socialist Movement group, along with the League of the South, they showed up, kind of blindsided at least me.
Have you noticed that the mainstream media basically reused the playbook with January 6th?
Correct.
But it was so...
Well, that's why I didn't go to January 6th.
But
I saw
it
that
was
one coming
much
a mile
less
away.
effective. Like, we've been able to turn the tables on the narrative on January 6th much more effectively than we were with Charlottesville.
Yes, that's true.
Even to this day, people look at Charlottesville and they're like, this white nationalist tiki torch, blah, da, da.
Yeah.
And they really believe that. Even with the full video of James Fields out, getting his car beaten in, obviously his life was threatened, and it's still...
Yeah, people had approached him with a gun. They were beating his car.
Yeah.
There was an account. I can't remember the name of it, but during the trial, there was this whole YouTube account that was breaking down frame by frame what was happening in James Fields' car.
Yep.
And and that whole story definitely has not been told. I mean, there is a book I think called like Charlottesville Untold, maybe, that came out that's kind of interesting. That has some behind the scenes stuff of what was going on there. But
Well, that poor guy, I hope I live to see the day that he gets freed.
he gets a pardon. James Fields should definitely get a pardon.
I'm not hopeful about it.
I don't want to lead the witness, particularly if you're going to talk about this more. But I am curious, Dave. I heard rumblings about it. I was in Virginia at the time, but I did not attend. But the police were basically told to stand down, were they not? And it was some kind of broader collusion between the mayor and the governor of Virginia to facilitate that event. That's what I heard, at least.
This is one of the things that like people aren't fully aware of with this whole Charlottesville thing, and it is in fact that there was like a vice mayor named Wes Bellamy. He was a black guy that hated white people. There were people there that day holding up pictures of his tweets, all of his anti-white tweets, and between Wes Bellamy and the mayor and the governor at the time, whose name escapes me, they were all three of them were there that day. They were there at City Council. I personally saw them all three together standing on the front lawn of City Hall talking with one another, which was odd. But there was a stand down order that was given to the Virginia State Police. They sat there as the alt-right or whatever, I was there filming the thing. I never carried a tiki torch, I was there.
You didn't?
No.
Oh, I thought you did.
No, people think that I planned the tiki torch march. That
wow.
that it was my idea. That's actually not
I like
true.
you about 10% less now.
I am sorry. Yeah, no, I didn't. I was like, hey, you know what? This is going to be crazy. I'm going to go there and film it, but I was not a participant.
Wow, way to destroy your street cred in one fell swoop.
I mean,
buddy.
I was still there, you know, but I was there in my capacity as press. Anyway, there was the Tiki Torch March, which was crazy. I did not carry a Tiki Torch. Anybody saying that they have pictures of me with, it's just not happening. It's not true. But yeah, so the next day, this was August 12th, the day of the rally, Virginia State Police had stood down. They directed everybody that was going there to listen or to be a protester or whatever. And it was a permanent protest, by the way. Like I said, the ACLU had sued the state to allow it to go on. They funneled us into a kill box.
Yeah.
Okay? They funneled us into a kill box. We got dropped off like 4 blocks away, so we had to walk through the streets. We couldn't drive to the event. And then on one side, there was about 1,000 Antifa throwing piss and shit and pepper spraying at random all of the people that were going to the park. And on the other side, there was a fence. So you were sandwiched between Antifa on one side and the fence with the Virginia State Police about 100 yards back. And so then,
That's exactly what they did on January 6th.
When they filed us all in, we're all sitting there, we're waiting. We're about 15 minutes from the speeches to start. And that's when this group of people showed up, the NSM or whatever. And there was another guy named Matthew Heimbach, I guess, the Traditionalist Workers' Party or whatever. Well, these guys all showed up, and they came into the park and started upending the fences. They started destroying all of the fencing and all of the structures that the police had in place. And it was at that point that immediately the police declared the whole thing an unlawful gathering. And they started to they formed a shield wall and pushed the alt-right protesters out of the park into Antifa. They pushed these two sides together and instigated the violence.
Yeah.
There is a report. I can't remember the name of it right now. I could have done show prep, but there was a report that came out that specifically talks about this, written by like an investigator, how the stand down from the police is exactly why that had happened. If the police, and now, you know, when the KKK goes to town, the police protected the KKK. They gave them a police escort in and out so that they wouldn't have to, you know, walk through the streets or like go through like some sort of like, you know, gauntlet of shame, getting piss thrown at you by Antifa.
Antifa's so obsessed with their excrement. They were pouring piss on everybody for like a year there.
Yeah,
Lauren Southern,
got it too.
that's
yeah,
right. Yeah.
Now I do have.
Well, don't forget too that the fall guy for Charlottesville was Steve Bannon.
Yes.
He took the lion's share of the blame.
That's right.
And then he was fired. And remember, it was at that point that Steve Bannon said, the Trump administration you voted for is over. And I think that statement stands true today as it was then.
Yeah, no, I think that's very true, you know. And there were very fine people on
both sides.
On one side. I am one of the fine people, by the way. And speaking of fine people, you can't have fine people without fine wine. And this is not an advertisement for Trump Winery, although this is a bottle of Trump wine. This is a special bottle of Trump Cabernet Sauvignon from Charlottesville.
Oh, nice.
Picked in 2017.
You ever going to drink it?
I'm going to drink this at the 10-year anniversary.
Oh.
So I figured I'd show it off.
I bet that wine sucks.
No. It's quite fantastic, actually.
Really?
This is the, I bought 10 bottles, and this is the last of it.
I'm not a sommelier. I don't know anything about wine.
It's very good. There was hate in the air that year.
I heard that ripens grapes.
The grapes absorbed the hate. And when I drink that, I will take my final form. So 2 more years.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that event was very important. You know, I fun fact, I was actually born in Charlottesville. Charlottesville is not in any way, shape, or form the same as it used to be. I really think that event. Obviously, you have the University of Virginia there, Monticello's there, and it's a very liberal place by virtue of the university and the graduate school programs they have. They have some of the best grad school programs in the country. The Darden School is there. Virginia Law School is there, which I think is a top 10 place. And so it's a very sort of radicalized place, but that was particularly the case after that event. Because I remember going to Charlottesville after that, and people were definitely affected by the spin of whatever happened that day. It's very unfortunate. The other reason I think it's important is, Virginia, I think historically during the Civil War, especially even today, is probably one of the top 4 most important states in the country. More presidents have been born from Virginia than any other state in the Union. A lot of people don't know that. But anyway, yeah, Charlottesville, in other words, it's sort of like the axis mundi of the United States. And that statue of Robert E. Lee, incidentally, who graduated from West Point, graduated #1 in his class and was sought after by both the Union and the Confederacy to lead their armies. Obviously, he chose to lead the Confederacy, was widely regarded until, I would say, the last 30 years, maybe the last 20, I don't know, as a national hero by both sides. So anyway, it's sort of hallowed ground where this fateful event took place.
Yeah, and of course they took the statue down. They melted it down. Let's see if there's the let's see if we can get this photo.
Did they melt it down? Jeez, yes. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. There's the statue, and then this is what they turned it into. They just melted the thing down. That's not really a...
What a symbolic image.
Yeah, this image went pretty hard. I remember when it came out, a lot of people's profile pictures changed.
It's terrifying.
Yeah.
They also took...
And this is what they want to do to all of us. This was the whole point for the protest. Yeah. And it's not just that. Right. There's like the other angle of it too, where if you look at your history and you look at the French Revolution and you look at the Bolshevik Revolution, you see how these revolutionary movements would tear down historical statues. They would rewrite the history books. In the French Revolution, they went as far as to like completely rewrite the calendar.
Yes.
I think there were 10 days in a week, according to them. Something goofy like that. They changed the number of months, the number of days in a week. And what that does is it separates you from your heritage. It separates you from the wisdom of your ancestors, and it makes you completely unmoored from reality, which is what these revolutionaries wanted to do, which was why we were protesting the removal of the statue.
It's funny you bring this up because we have an entire show prepped in that theme. I know that you didn't read the outline. However, Cameron, you want to get in there? What were you going to say?
No, I was going to echo Dave's sentiments. I mean, look, the name of the game is dehumanization. And Dave's right to point that out, because that is the nature of what we're dealing with. And this is what's beginning to percolate in England, in France, in Germany. Obviously, we'll expand on this later in the show. But this is coming to a head, and more white folks, whether they're across the Atlantic or not, are beginning to realize that this whole immigration thing is not about moving people from one location to another. This is about erasing us, erasing them, until there's nothing left of us.
Yes, that's exactly right. And the powers that be...
You will not erase us. You will not replace us.
That's right.
It's amazing. Still, 8 years on, and they're
has
still
endured.
doing it. Mm-hmm. You know, that has been a good theme. We should make T-shirts.
Okay.
You will not replace us. T-shirts.
Let's do it.
The
powers that be this has been a multi-pronged attack on the white man. There's so many reasons that events like Charlottesville happened. We're at a grieved people. And first in the show, I wanted to talk about some of the things that they're throwing at us economically. So many of you might have seen this student loan crash out this week. And I wanted to start with this clip because this chick, she can't pay her student loans, and she's realizing the deep financial distress that she's in, and she's probably going to be experiencing for life. Is she a basic bitch? Yes. All right. Should she have realized that her loans had a 17% interest rate? Yes. Oh. She was 17, but there is a deeper issue here. Let's watch this.
All right.
Loans that I've been paying $1,500 a month for 2 years have a 17% interest rate. So what I thought I've been paying off for all this time, I'm actually, I owe more than what I started off with. What the fuck? So, Jeff Bezos, this would be a really cool fucking time to Venmo me, bro. I owe $90,000, and I didn't even spend that much on be an egg donor. Guess what? Got approved. Who wants my fucking kids? I can't afford them, so start a bidding war. Just fucking take them. What do you want? My left arm too? Like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? I'm gonna be in debt for my whole fucking life. How does that even make sense? I signed up for this shit when I was 17. Like, this should not be legal, bro. I got upset about it at work, and my coworker was like, don't you have, like, a rich relative who can pay that for you? No! My family's poor! Like, no! And the worst fucking part is, bro, look where I am. Like, I can't go in because I can't spend money, but I just want to, like, be here because it makes me feel better.
Oh, good
so
Lord.
as it turns out,
That's unbelievable.
I know. And I think she represents thousands and thousands of young people that were never given basic financial literacy. And I understand that this is a parental failure. Of course it is. But really, this is a testament to not just the propaganda experienced by her generation, but by the generation of her parents. We were propagandized to believe that you need a college education. You need one to be successful. And a Jewish system of usury that preys on the unsuspecting. It isn't just that she got a useless degree and that she forwent her childbearing years to get a college education that means nothing. Now she and all of these people like her, they are debt slaves for life. And this is the intent of usury. College doesn't guarantee you a job. It doesn't signify that you're an elite anymore. It's basically like a high school education used to be. Look who makes up the student body in our higher education. Can you pull up this University of Virginia post and zoom into this? Zoom into this. Unreal. It's just like a sea of brown faces.
What?
I don't know anything about the School of Business. Is it elite? Cameron, do you know?
It's the Darden School. It is.
Oh,
it's one of the best business
Darden
schools in the country. And look, what you're looking at there is every Ivy League school in this country, every elite institution has been completely repopulated and restaffed. Now, I do want to stress something that's vitally important to understand. These institutions are crumbling because of it, right? It's not that they're prospering. It's not that they're getting stronger and that they're consolidating their position. And this is why I've said repeatedly, and I know most of you do not believe me, but these people are reaping what they've sown. They are experiencing a kind of self-destruction because a lot of those people that you're seeing in these pictures, they are far from elite. They're not going to benefit the institution that they're a part of. If anything, they're going to undermine and destroy it. And that's why college education in general is a shadow of what it used to be. You'll learn more from YouTube than you will going to the Darden School or some other elite university at Harvard or Yale.
Yep, absolutely. And why do people get an education? They do it to build family stability and financial stability, and they do it so that they are able to have a family in the first place. Obviously, this is not providing stability for younger generations. Can you pull up this graphic from Young Americans at Berkeley? Thank you, Dave. Okay.
Yes.
This is shocking. An important point in interpreting this graph. Let's see. Can you go down? That's the one. An important point in interpreting this graph, it may look tempting to look at, for example, the leading edge of the Gen Z trend, the 26-year-old include, that's how Gen Z is doing today. That is incorrect. This shows an average across time for all members of a generational cohort at a given age. So the 30-year-old point for millennials shows average 30-year-old home ownership rate relative to baby boomers among every millennial that has turned 30 as of 2023. So by now, this includes many millennials whose median age is in March, April 2023, when the survey was conducted, was 34. But it doesn't show all millennials since they all haven't passed their 30th birthday. But look with those caveats. Look at this. This is just unreal. This is why older generations just can't understand what we're going through.
Pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
By your bootstraps. What is that girl supposed to do? She looked like she was in her late 20s, right?
Yeah.
So she's missed her most fertile years. She's going to be an undesirable marriage prospect, despite asymmetric sexual market value. And what is she going to do? She's buried in debt. She wants to have a family. She's literally donating her genetic material to other people for money.
One white woman going to college is worse than the Holocaust.
Yeah, seriously. I know. This is just crazy. And how many people are in her situation? Otherwise, she seems, she's of average IQ, but she was cute. She seems pretty marriageable. A lot of guys would have been happy to have
Not
her.
after college.
But not after college. However, we still do need, I am an advocate of elite higher education.
Yeah, we need young men to go into the institutions.
Oh, yeah. We need lawyers. We need doctors. We need all sorts of people to combat this DEI bullshit because we're all going to need surgery one day. We're all going to have to fly in a plane one day. We need people to go to college. And like we talked about with Marcel Dumas,
Dumas, it's a soft S.
Dumas. I think that the closest thing that we have in America to an aristocracy are people that legitimately, through meritocracy, went to Ivy League schools. And we have to have that. We have to have that.
It's not a meritocracy anymore.
Yes,
and
but we can return to that. We need elite education.
Well, do you think that's going to happen after what Donald Trump has done to
I know.
the Ivy League schools
I
and
know, I
ousting
know.
all of their presidents and replacing them with Jewish puppets?
Right.
There's been, a coup in this country. And it's not just at the governmental level. It's also at the higher education level. And it has been this way, more and more ever since, the Horkheimers and Theodor Adornos and all of these people from the Frankfurt School came in and started to take over, at least as far as thought goes. It really kind of started to take over in the 1990s. But where we are today is complete and total control of Harvard, Yale, MIT, all of these big schools, Ivy League schools are now, and they did this by suggesting, we're going after woke. We're going after woke. No, you're not really going after woke.
You're protecting Jews.
You're protecting Jews.
Yeah.
You are going after anybody that will say anything negative about the genocide in Gaza or the way that the Palestinians have had their land stolen from them by the Zionists. They will brutally enforce any rules about that. But then when it comes to protecting white people, they got all that kill whitey shit going on still.
Yep, totally.
100%.
We should look at the fertility rate too, because although this is multifactorial, obviously economic issues of this magnitude and delaying childbearing is going to affect the fertility rate. And I'm sure our audience is generally familiar with how bad things are in terms of fertility, but look at that. And it is mirrored in almost every Western country.
Holy shit.
Look at that.
So this is America?
That is America.
That is the United States, 1800.
7.03. But you have to think that 1 to 2 of your kids would die.
Yeah. So they had a high infant mortality rate back then. That's for sure.
And then look at it around the Great Depression.
Got down to 2.06.
Yes.
And that's in 1940.
Then we've got baby
during the
boom.
war. Up to 3.58. And now we are back down to World War II levels.
So my mom and I were having a discussion about this the other day because she was saying white people need safety to breed. And I was thinking, well,
Not really. What about the 1800s?
What about
safety
the
to breed?
the
These people were
1800s?
coming out the West on fucking, carts drawn by horses,
Right.
freezing to death, getting shot at by Indians.
Yes, but there clearly is some correlation to economic distress. So my question for you guys is, do you think that we've been propagandized to believe that we cannot procreate in difficult economic times? How much of this do you think is feminist propaganda? How much do you think that is organically related to economic distress? Why don't we start with you, Cameron?
Well, look, let's try to reframe this a little bit. Fertility tends to work in cycles, right? So there are times when you have peak fertility, there are times when fertility tends to fall. I think there are obviously a lot of variables that are affecting this. We know that feminism is one of them. Obviously, I do subscribe to the notion that there are these things called mind viruses. In fact, I think I sent you an article about that, Rebecca, that just was released by Arctotherium, addressing that very thing. Yeah, there are these things like propaganda that do change value systems, and we know that women are more impressionable than are men. At the same time, there's this thing called the economy, and the most important development over the last 50 years has basically been that men have suffered asymmetrically because of deindustrialization. We are not as wealthy as we used to be. We're not as productive as we used to be. And as far as I can glean over the last 200 years, the best predictor of fertility is male productivity, because when men are enriching themselves, when they're productive, they become more sexually attractive to the opposite sex. So you have men that are less productive. You have a value system that's been changed by feminism. And I think in a generic sense, the society itself, the national consciousness has disintegrated, right? There is no concept of fathering or mothering a child for a broader extended family, which is what the nation is all about. That being said, I think all that's about to reverse. And I think it's about to reverse like a heart attack because of what you saw to some degree from that young lady in that clip. What you're seeing there is liberation from a debt service slave-based system. How do you overcome debt slavery? You default. You exit the system. This is what we're observing from countries around the world, specifically countries that are in the BRICS or the Gulf Coast countries, countries that are de-dollarizing. That's another way of saying they're exiting the debt slavery. What that lady is experiencing, it's hard, it's difficult, but she is coming to the realization that she's got to exit that enslaved system. More and more young people are going to do exactly that. Now, if you take that and combine it with what you're beginning to see, which is a mass awakening across the Western world, a racial awakening, a national awakening, what dovetails with that is a revaluation of community, a revaluation of the family. So in other words, all of a sudden the importance of getting a job, of having a career, of acquiring material wealth, that shrinks into oblivion. So in other words, I think we're on the cusp of a massive renaissance, if you will, a rebirth and a sort of resurrection of fertility in the Western world after we get through this conflict, which is just beginning to heat up.
And that's a salient point about fertility rates. I think on the dissident right, we probably hyper-focus on fertility rates, but they can turn around really quickly. You were the one that told me about the Jewish tendency to do 2, 5, 2 in terms of generation.
Yeah, well, that's from Kevin McDonald's book, Culture of Critique.
I think that's an excellent point. I mean, every once in a while, we should take a page from the Jewish handbook. But the idea behind it is you have 2 children that you invest in intensely and teach them that the most important thing they can do is have children. They each have 5 children. Mm-hmm. Those children each have 2 children that they invest in intensely, and so on and so forth. So you have these layers of intergenerational investment.
Well, and one of the ways that makes that it's possible is so, you know, let's say you have 2 kids, you invest in them heavily and get them to have lots of kids, then you have to be involved with the grandchildren.
Yes.
To allow them, to give them that hands-on thing.
Yes.
And so each grandparent goes.
Right.
You see what I mean?
And
So
then
there's a leapfrog effect.
It doesn't spiral out of control in terms of fertility, so that you can still have high investment children in every generation. And I think about that a lot because I only have 2 children.
Yeah, that's right. But, you know, look, if the value system can shift so dramatically in one direction, it can obviously shift in the other direction, right? So I think there are 2 shows. One take that Andrew Tate had that I thought was rather insightful, actually, was that he said that masculinity in the United States, I think he meant in the West in general, but he was talking specifically about the United States, shifted based on the show Friends. Now, I actually think there's a lot of truth in that. If you go back and you watch that show, it was a culturally significant show. It inspired a whole lot of programming that was just like it, yeah. But if you look at all of the characters on that show, they were all basically betas. They were all these sort of over-socialized, feminine characters, with the exception of the Italian guy, who was a brain-dead idiot. And he, incidentally, never settles down and reproduces. At the same time, there was this show, I'm sure you watched it, Rebecca, called Sex and the City. Mm-hmm. I think Sex and the City was a similar cultural watershed for the female population that came to idolize these women that are basically promiscuous sluts living in a metropolitan area. So they live this posh life that everybody thinks is great. That cultural moment is over. I think there's a sort of disillusionment with that, and now we're beginning to swing in the opposite direction.
Well, it's going to get worse before it gets better, because we're kind of living through the moment of OnlyFans right now too, which more and more there's this I feel cursed for having seen it. Is it somebody named Lil Tay?
Yeah.
Right? Am I okay?
I don't know why she's famous, but she was like a tween Instagrammer.
Oh God. Anyway,
My nephew's watching this and he's like, "Ugh."
so anyway,
people are so old.
Lil Tay went ahead and launched a OnlyFans at 12:01
on her 18th birthday.
On her 18th
and
birthday,
she got $1 million
in 24 hours.
I think in like an hour she had gotten $1
Oh,
million. Yeah.
jeez. Well, so I guess what I'm
Who's
saying
paying
is,
for this? I don't understand.
well, it's not even a matter of who's paying for it. It's would you continue to pay for it if you knew that the money you spent on OnlyFans is the #1 donor for APAC?
I think a lot of people would. Yeah.
Probably Gooner brain
It's Gooner brain,
retards.
yeah.
But people, they are the #1 donor to APAC, a pornography website, OnlyFans, that exists to exploit young women.
Yeah.
This is fucked up. This is what happens. This is not the first time that Jews have done this to societies either.
Right.
But
There is a silver lining to OnlyFans, though, in that it represents a shift in Gooner-brained men from watching pornography, which is, they're totally not a part of, to kind of wanting to have a parasocial relationship with somebody. I'm not saying it's a shift in a positive direction, but it does change the landscape of pornography.
well, yeah, I mean, I guess it was like back in the day, you had Pamela Anderson.
It's like that.
Right, and it's like you'd look at a magazine or something, but you weren't DMing the person,
Right.
or paying $250 or whatever it is to DM
And these
people.
OnlyFans
and they're
subscribers,
not responding to you.
these OnlyFans chicks, they have a lot of deep interpersonal relationships with their followers.
Yeah, they don't have a deep interpersonal relationship with their fathers.
Of course not.
That's not what's happening. But before we get too far afield here, I've mentioned it before. I'm going to continue mentioning it on this podcast. WTF Happened in 1971.com. Great website. It's just full of statistics. Oopsie daisy. It's full of statistics. But, this is interesting. So on every chart, they put a red arrow, and that's 1971. And so you can see here, this is the median age at first marriage. Men were getting married at about 23 years old. Women were getting married at about 20, pretty consistently all the way back to the year 1890. And then after we went off the gold standard, it shoots up through the roof. Now, you're lucky to be getting married at 28 for a woman and 30 for a man. Here's another one. Divorce percentage or prevalence by age from 1950 to 2016, you can see very clearly before 1970, not very high. About 1 out of 100 was divorced before 1971. Afterwards, the numbers went through the roof.
They need to correct for the length of marriage in that.
Families with children officially in poverty, through the roof after 1971. Percentage of children born to unwed women, 1970, through the roof. I mean, blacks were always high, but I mean, even higher. And this is also
73% of blacks in 2008 were born to unwed mothers.
Yes.
That is an astonishing statistic.
Then there
and a
is-
third of white women.
Yep. Then there's the number of children per woman, and you can see that this decline really started to go down in 1971.
Wow.
It started to go down. So, there's also the kind of angle of this thing too, where the Catholic Church liberalized their annulment process in the wake of Vatican II, which is another kind of contributing factor. Also, Protestant churches started to become more okay with that, and
Birth control.
Birth control, also kind of a new thing on the block. I mean, when Ronald Reagan, wasn't he like one of the first presidents that was divorced and remarried as a president? Because I'm pretty sure before that, the idea that you had left your wife made you unelectable.
Right.
So
Now look at Trump.
Now look at this. Not only Trump, but all of these other homosexuals that are in office. Pete Buttigieg and Scott Bessent and.
I don't
all
want to
of
go
these
on a
people.
tangent because I
Sorry.
was talking today about tightening up the show. But did you guys see that picture of Pete Buttigieg eating a cinnamon roll?
No. What?
I couldn't even believe it looks like he's eating chicken wings, but I saw this and I'm like totally convinced that he's some kind of homo skin suit now.
I thought that was a chicken wing.
No, he's eating a cinnamon roll like a gay little squirrel. Look at that.
Bro.
What is this? What is this?
That's a cinnamon roll?
Yeah.
This guy.
We're a serious show that doesn't engage in any
Listen,
slop.
he doesn't understand the difference between an asshole and a vagina.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about the cinnamon.
Now think about that when you look at this guy eating the cinnamon roll. Go ahead, Cameron.
Yeah, and a slightly more serious note, I was going to go from the particular to the general. So you're not wrong in terms of some of this exaggerated, ridiculous behavior in OnlyFans, but Axios has actually been reporting for a couple of years now. So this article, I don't know if you could bring it up on the screen, Dave, it's called Swiping Right in Real Life, Young Singles Seek Offline Dating. So there's actually a lot of evidence that online dating has peaked and it's beginning to hit a serious secular decline, particularly with Gen Z, right? Now, I think this is interesting, and I'm going to come back to this later on in the show because I know a number of you are interested in political activism of some kind. But younger people are increasingly the Blackpill generation, all right? They are disillusioned with online dating. They're disillusioned with a lot of the, I would say, the pathologies of the generations that preceded them, like millennials, for example. And we're red-pilled as it is. So you're starting to see a deviation of behavior. In addition to that, I think it was reported recently that something like 59% of the global participation in run clubs, of the global participation in run clubs has increased by 59%.
Wow.
That was in 2024 alone. Now, apparently 55% of Gen Z have cited that social connection is their primary reason for joining some kind of fitness club. So what you're seeing here is that, yeah, there are serious pathological problems and there are obvious consequences for that. Single moms, right? Women that are over 40, that are childless, that are unmarried, that are obviously unhappy and depressed. But there is the beginnings, I think, and have argued, of the corrective curve, the corrective behaviors in Gen Z in particular. And part of the reason for that is because they're looking at their parents and they're looking at their older friends and they see the destructive lives that they lead. In other words, they see that Sex in the City isn't all that it's cracked up to be. So these things are corrective, they are cyclical, and I think we're beginning to shift into a new cycle.
Well, that's encouraging to hear. I mean, the temptation is just to be terminally black-pilled. But we're going to talk about Fuentes later, but I know I say it a lot. I'm always, what is the word? Glazing Fuentes.
Yes.
I almost said gooning again. No. Glazing Fuentes, but he does represent a larger movement of young people that are going to throw the status quo.
Before we move on, I wanted to come back, unless you're going back to the student loan debt thing. This is new data from a couple days ago, August 7th. Student loan crisis alert, 12.9% of loans are delinquent. It's the highest rate in 21 years. Department of Education said that almost 10 million borrowers could be in default in the next few months. That was in April. Yeah. This is what happens when nearly 25% of the federal student loan portfolio will be in default. Yikes. Already seeing the massive personal credit impacts, blah, blah, blah. If this, and whoever this is, Amanda Goodall, don't know who that is. She's talking about if this happens to coincide with
I'm sort of amazed it's not
layoffs.
higher than that.
Well, I mean, it is interesting. You can't really see, for those of you watching the podcast and not just listening on Apple or Spotify,
give us a 5-star rating.
Please give us a 5-star rating on Apple, please. But on this chart here on the right, you can see around the time of COVID, we got the stimmy checks and everybody paid down their debt after COVID. And then here we are, 2024 going into 2025, and it just shot back up like a ball that you're holding, under the water. It just shot back up. Yeah. And eclipsed, like they said, and we're also starting to see this with household debt. And there was another thing that I saw with credit cards too, just through the roof. Mm-hmm. Credit card debt.
These are earthquakes, and they're pointing to something much larger, which we've addressed on this show for the last 8 months. Look, there was an article in Forbes. I think I sent it to both of you. Maybe you can bring it up as well. It's called "Is Harvard's Private Equity Sell-Off a Trap for Retail Investors?" So Harvard University has the largest endowment fund of any elite school in the country. All right. So it's kind of a bellwether for where we're headed. They just offloaded $1 billion in private equity. Now, this is very important because you're starting to see quakes not just in student loans, not just in housing, not just in buy now, pay later. You're starting to see them in subprime loans for automobiles, okay? And you're seeing them in higher education. Basically, there's a ripple effect because all of these institutions are bankrupt, all of them. And now there's a search for or a squeeze for liquidity. At the same time, Larry Fink put out an article, I think I sent this to you guys as well, arguing basically that we need a new form of globalization. So he put out a piece in the Financial Times, I think it's called, "It's Time for the Second Draft of Globalization." Now, the reason I mentioned this is that there's a word that a lot of the financiers are using, which is democratization. They're trying to get retail investors, so these are regular folks that are not familiar with complex financial derivatives or private equity, things like that. They're trying to get them into some of these complex investments because Wall Street is in trouble, because private equity is blowing up. And a lot of that's because interest rates are rising. I say all that to say this: we're at the end. We're at this sort of denouement of the financial system when people cannot service their debt anymore and the Wall Streeters are sort of in a crunch to find liquidity to backstop themselves. That means you're on the cusp of a major financial unwind. This is exactly what is happening in England. It's happening across the Western world. I think you could argue it's happening across the world. But eventually, people are just going to default. They're just going to stop paying their debts, and that's the end of the dollar and the end of the banking system, which we really didn't need to begin with.
Yeah, and I know you want to move on to the next clip, but you said the magic word, which I was pulling up as you were talking anyway. 6 days ago, the White House put out a new executive order called Democratizing Access to Alternative Assets for 401k Investors. And so basically what this is going to do is it's going to allow people that run these 401k accounts, pension accounts, to start gambling with people's money, retirement money, and it's going to disappear.
It sounds like subprime lending.
Oh, it's worse than that. They've created all of these instruments that like the average Joe can't even touch. And they've become so toxic that they've now
got like collateralized debt obligations?
Yeah. Who's that? Tiffany Cianci was talking about that, the Vino mom. She was right, by the way, on that whole thing. And it's coming. It's not good.
I mean,
Look, this is really important to understand because, Reagan for a long time, for example, was celebrated as this icon on the right. I made a video about this on my channel not all that long ago about the failure of populism. But what did Reagan really do? He deficit spent, and he created a lot of the structural debts that we're dealing with today. He also deregulated Wall Street. Now, what is Trump doing? Trump is implementing the Wall Street agenda. He's taking your 401ks, he's taking all of your retirement vehicles, now endowment funds or what have you, and he's allowing the Jews, the finance Jews, basically to get access to concentrations of capital that they didn't have before. This is a deliberate agenda from a system that's failing in an effort to patch up, right, indebtedness that's become viral, that's become explosive. This is why the crypto bills were passed, because the federal government, which is now the sovereign entity that backs the entire financial system, is running out of money. So it's got to find concentrations of capital wherever they can. I mean, Larry Fink went as far as to say in his stupid little op-ed that we need basically to collateralize babies. He called them baby bonds in his article. This is where we're headed under Donald Trump.
Oh,
look at this. Yeah, you're right. Meanwhile, lawmakers in the U.S. are weighing a market-based twist on baby bonds, an investment account for every American at birth. Even a modest deposit could grow by the age of 50 into a retirement cushion or college fund. Horse shit. You just want to pump your bags, old man.
Absolutely.
They do, but again, the takeaway and what I'm trying to convey here is when does financialization end? It ends when they're collateralizing human beings at birth. And that's basically where we are today, okay? This is not the beginning of another explosion in Wall Street power and corruption. This is the end. They have nothing left. They're looking for scraps wherever they can find them.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's why we're being demoralized on so many fronts, because they see that many of the ways that they're trying to control our behavior and force us to consume it's a dead end. I mean, these people will just default and that'll be it. Let's talk a little bit about the People Revolt. So I think you sent me this clip, but this was just fascinating. This is a report on CBN News about the brewing civil unrest related to economic conditions. They're talking about the UK, but of course this is applicable to all Western nations. Let's go to 147 on this and we can watch for about 2 minutes.
Single day.
When you have a country in decline and you add large numbers of new people into the mix, what you end up with is ethnic conflict over resources.
Experts fear all that might be needed to trigger a civil war is another terror attack. White working class anger exploded last summer when the son of a Rwandan immigrant stabbed 11 children and 2 adults at a dance studio. 3 girls died. Social media posts initially misidentified the killer as an illegal migrant, sparking the worst riots in 10 years. Only much later did police reveal the killer possessed an Al-Qaeda training manual. Right-wing and working-class British are also angry over what they claim is a 2-tier justice system that favors Muslims. Last week, this man was convicted of a crime for publicly burning a Quran in a political protest. A Muslim man with a knife who threatened to kill him faced no charges. Lucy Connolly, a 41-year-old mother, is serving 31 months in prison for a tweet appearing to encourage violence against illegal migrants after the murders of those 3 girls in Southport. She got more jail time than some of the members of this Pakistani sex grooming gang, convicted for child prostitution and having sex with a minor. Add to this rising crime, Orwellian state censorship, and economic decline in many areas. Academic and news commentator Matt Goodwin.
I think there is a widespread consensus in the country that Britain is a nation in decline, economically, demographically, and culturally. There are areas that are just as poor as Eastern Europe, as parts of the developing world, in Northern England, in some of our coastal towns.
The perception is, among the white working class, that the state actively prefers ethnic minorities and is funneling resources their way. Some white working class people, they're saying, why is it they get hotel rooms? Why is it they get welfare when we are struggling?
The riots and the disturbances were symptomatic of a much deeper disillusionment in this country with the way in which British people just no longer feel safe in their own communities. They no longer feel safe in their country where lawlessness is essentially being sanctioned by the state.
Yes, they're just throwing this in our face. Do you think that this woman, who obviously was not a threat, that it wasn't deliberate for them to exhibit the 2-tier justice system to the populace, that they gave her more time for her tweet than these Pakistani rape gangs? They're telling us that we're not going to be treated equally under the law. Did you see this shooting in Seattle this week?
No.
Oh gosh.
What happened?
We got it in this.
Wait, was this the wheelchair thing?
Yes.
Oh, I did see something about the wheelchair thing.
This just has everything in it. So what you're about to see, the appearance of it is not. Maybe we should watch it and people can draw their own conclusions, and then I can tell you what it was about.
I think I know what this was about, but we'll watch it. Okay.
Go ahead.
Let's take a peek here.
Show me your ID. Pull a fucking gun on me.
This is just a second angle. You can skip this if you want.
Yeah, let's watch.
Show me your ID. Pull a fucking gun on me. Pull a fucking gun on me.
This is crazy.
It's crazy.
All right.
Okay, it's not at all. When I watched this, I was like, okay, this black guy is some kind of vagrant, and the white guy had to use his concealed carry permit because the black guy pulled a gun on him. What actually happened was the white guy was accusing the black guy of stolen valor. He is a veteran. He ripped a patch off of his wheelchair.
Here, we've got a news report.
While tourists
wait.
Okay.
And then the black guy pulls out a knife, which was real, and then a Nerf gun. We can watch this news report if you want.
Yeah, here. Let's.
A busy afternoon on Seattle's waterfront as police process a crime scene while tourists look on. Now, prosecutors have filed a felony assault charge against the accused shooter, Gregory William Tim.
Looked at this case, looked at what Seattle police had gathered so far, and thought pretty clearly that this is a felony assault case.
King County prosecutors say both the shooter and the victim had weapons, but Tim was the one who started the altercation first. Court records say Tim accused the man in the wheelchair of stolen valor or pretending to be a veteran when you aren't. The court records say Tim, quote, demanded the victim provide identification to prove his military status and then, quote, removed a military patch from the victim's belongings. Police said the man in the wheelchair pulled a knife and then pulled out an airsoft gun, and that's when Tim pulled out a real gun and shot the man in the chest.
Well, listen, to be fair, an airsoft gun does look
appear,
like a real gun. It's
yes.
not like a Nerf gun.
I don't think we need to watch any more of this.
we're
But
good.
he has been charged with felony assault. Now, the thing about this is that...
So the guy in the wheelchair didn't die?
No, he's still alive. The precedent on this...
It's not attempted murder?
I know. It dictates that because the altercation, the verbal altercation began by the shooter, that there's no self-defense claim here, even though it's obvious that he had no reason to believe that the gun was not real.
Right.
But because he initiated verbal assault, he has no claim to
Verbal assault?
Yes.
That's not even a real thing.
I watched this and I was like, well, this is clearly self-defense if the black guy had a gun.
Right.
He had a knife anyway.
Right.
But this is the situation that we're in. I thought this video just had everything because it's like a destitute... So the white guy ended up being the homeless guy. It's a destitute white guy, a destitute black guy, and then the faces of the people running past, all like mystery meat. Mm-hmm. Every single there's an Indian girl, there's like an Asian family. It's like, this is what America's urban centers have become. It's just astonishing. And then he has no right to defend himself in this situation, although he did instigate it. I don't know that should be really relevant from a legal perspective. Cameron, what's your takeaway from this shooting? I was like stunned when I was watching this.
I don't know. Seattle, man, what a mess. I just think you're going to start to see a lot more of this violence. It's sad, but I think it's coming. And look, the state, you know, we're going to address this more, I think, a little bit later. But there is this assertion, and frankly, it's a kind of mind virus on the right that's entrapped itself in this Marxist framework that the state is driving all of this. Look, what's happened is that you have different tribal groups that have hit critical mass, a nation of nations, if you will, all over the Western world. And now the majority population is waking up, and they're noticing what we showed earlier at the Darden School, and they're seeing their cities are crime-infested hellholes, and their communities don't look like they used to. What the hell do you expect these people to do? So you're going to start to see more and more of this. The issue is it's going to start to escalate as we, the white population, spontaneously reorganizes ourselves to defend ourselves. And that's what's happening in England. And that betokens where we're all headed, whether we're in the United States, Canada, or across Western Europe. So I just think these little incidents, events, they're going to start to increase until I think you start to see mass violence.
Absolutely. That's a perfect segue to this next clip, because the sentiment in the UK and in the Netherlands and here in America is that we need to congregate around Christianity. And so we're seeing this massive rise in churches. And I think a lot of this for people is not spiritual. I think a lot of this is people being driven by the desire to be around people that are like them. Mm-hmm. There's, of course, a spiritual component, but we're seeing this all over here. We're going to watch the same clip where he talks about how this is manifesting in France.
Group member suggested Britain might need a coup. Professor Betts says civil war could also break out in France, as well as the United States. Stanley believes civil war in the UK could be avoided through the spiritual awakening already underway.
There is something going on here. Church attendance is up. Young people are becoming more religious than ever. If there is a potential for change, it's going to come from society and the grassroots and ordinary people.
Yep.
It's not going to.
Yeah. Did you see this clip on Instagram with 80,000 Christians in the Netherlands? It looks like evangelical nonsense, but I'm still happy to see it. They're pretty much all white. Look at that sea of white people.
Holy macaroni.
Yeah. They're singing some la-di-da Christian.
Yeah, we're not going to play it.
Thank you. I was watching it. I'm like, oh. And then you sent me a clip of Doug Wilson who is opening up churches all throughout the United States, where he is just manhandling this lady reporter with concise answers, and he's just killing it. And I think that we are going to continue to see this everywhere. I mean, he's not going to mince his words at all. He's just saying what he thinks. Let's just play a little
Yeah, we're not
bit.
going to play the extended interview. I mean, we'll play...
Christchurch senior pastor Doug Wilson makes no apologies for his beliefs on God and country.
I'd like to see the town be a Christian town. I'd like to see the state be a Christian state. I'd like to see the nation be a Christian nation. I'd like to see the world be a Christian world.
And now Wilson's controversial views as a Christian nationalist are gaining sway in the nation's center of power with the recent opening of his new church and high-profile parishioners like Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth.
Is planting a church in D.C. part of your mission to try to turn this into a Christian nation?
Yes. So every society is theocratic. The only question is who's Theo? In a secular democracy, it would be demos, the people. In a Christian republic, it'd be Christ.
Well, what would you say to someone watching this to say, look, I'm a Muslim. Who are you to say your worldview is better than mine, that your God is better than mine?
Well, if I went to Saudi Arabia, I would fully expect to live under their God's rules.
But you said earlier that you want this to be a Christian world.
Yes.
So you want to supplant their religion with your Christian.
Yes, by peaceful means, by sharing the gospel. There's a lot of work yet to do. I believe that we are working our little corner of the vineyard.
Yeah, and he goes on to say that women should be submissive. And you know, the thing that's
Women shouldn't vote.
That they shouldn't vote. The thing that's astonishing about this interview is he just says what he means, and he does not try to pussyfoot around the issues, and he is direct. And I thought that that was so powerful. We're not going to get anywhere by trying to concede our values to these people or even the appearance of concession. I think at this point, we just need to be direct and talk about what we want the world to look like, and what our values are and how we're going to adhere to them.
Yeah, no, I mean, Doug has been doing some fantastic work down in Moscow, Idaho, just a little bit further south of us. And, you know, everybody that I know from his church, you know, we're different, right? Like, we go to different churches. I'm Catholic, they're Protestant, whatever.
Ew.
There's an obvious difference there. But at the same time, every person that I know that goes to his church, I mean, a lot of them listen to our show.
That's crazy.
Which is kind of crazy. So a big shout out to the guys down at Christchurch. But they're great. They're great. They get it. They understand that the left has been legislating morality. They've been legislating their morality to great effect in this country. And it's time that we do the same. It's
Absolutely.
time that we legislate Christian morality again in this country, the way that it was when it was founded.
And if we're not going to do that, I'm at least happy to see that there's some sort of organic movement that is railing against conservative lawmakers. You sent me this clip of this Republican congressman in a Republican district, and he's getting destroyed. He's getting absolutely destroyed by his constituents. This was the most heartening clip of the whole week.
Let's play it. This is
Can we watch every second of this?
Yes, we can. This is great.
Bastard.
I want to have you address the question that was shouted about the starving children in Gaza.
Israel has a right to defend itself.
It's genocide! You believe in genocide?
I am so disappointed. I am so disappointed in how you represent us.
I don't think you're the right fit for us anymore. You just don't relate to most of the places anymore, and you got to know when to step down. I think it's time.
That is the most important thing said in this. She recognizes, although she might not realize it, that the elites do not understand the plight of the people anymore. They cannot relate to us. They don't represent our interests. And so my question for you and Cameron, what has happened to the elite that has made them completely unable to understand the plight of average Americans? I know that of course, the economic divide has something to do with that. They're incentivized financially to support Israel. But it's like they don't understand the way people live anymore. They're watching them through the glass or something. Yeah. And it means that we're no longer represented by anybody that's in the system.
The facade is crumbling.
Yes.
The idea that we've had representation until 2024,
right.
That's obviously bullshit.
Yeah.
The facade is crumbling. People are starting to become more aware of exactly how bad the situation is. But and I don't know if I'm taking words out of Cameron's mouth here. I hope not. But when you look at, we were talking about who is the elite, and I kind of posited on the Monday show with Marcel that, if America has an aristocracy, it is the sons and daughters of the intelligence community. It is Tucker Carlson, the son of CIA royalty Dick Carlson, right? It is Ghislaine Maxwell, daughter of Robert Maxwell, who worked for MI6 and Mossad, right? Like all of these kind of heirs of these big fortunes that were all connected with intelligence, right? But the difference is that these people, these Nepo baby, CIA Nepo babies, basically, they didn't build anything. Right? Now, you can look back at like the John von Neumann Institute. You can look at these people, Max Horkheimer, Theodor Adorno, these like shifty Jewish psychopaths that came over here. They did build something. They built the system that we have now. They conquered America. And again, it's my contention that we were defeated on November 22nd, 1963 in a coup. And they killed our president and took over, right? That's my official position on this thing. But the people that inherited the empire from the empire builders have no earthly idea what the fuck they're doing. They got handed everything.
Yes.
They didn't have to build anything.
That's absolutely true. There is another...
And they're incompetent.
There's that, but I think that they're also nefarious. Like there's the idea that they don't understand us at all, which I think is true, but also they have disdain for us. They hate us and they want to kill us.
That's true too. But yeah, I really think that it's well, like you can, Alex Karp, right? The CEO, co-founder of Palantir. He's another one of these types that he is one of his animating factors. And we don't have the article up, but you can Google it. Is that he was afraid that he would be like defenestrated by, angry right-wing anti-Semites or something, thrown out the window because of who he is. And it's not because of who he is. It's because you're building a technology panopticon to spy on all of us. And if we step out of line and say the wrong thing about Israel, then you're going to clamp down, and bite us. This Zio-Tech thing. I'm sure we're getting into that in a bit, but yeah, I think they're incompetent and totally disconnected and dumb. And furthermore, it's increasingly scary to me. In my own networks, I've got a friend. Believe it or not, I have a friend. No, but I have a good friend, and my wife had the kids over for a play date the other day. He works at a bank. He makes 6 figures, plus a year. He's doing great for himself, except that they are struggling. To pay the bills. They are struggling to make ends meet.
Didn't we talk about this in the show last week? That something like 60% of people with a 6-figure salary are in credit card debt?
Cameron brought this up. Yeah, but it's just incredible to me. And it's going to get worse. It is going to continue to get worse.
Absolutely. Cameron, do you want to opine on this quickly before we move on?
Yeah, look, I think that we need to see everything in terms of the elites as you described them through the prism of the 1960s. So if you go back to the 1960s, Martin Luther King Jr. gave a speech in which he said, "We're tied together in the single garment of destiny, caught in an inescapable network of mutuality." All right. Now, the paradigm of the 60s, which I have referred to as pluralism, right? It abandoned the prior paradigm, which was that the United States was basically an Anglo-Protestant, or if you like, an Anglo-Christian nation. That was askew. And instead, we pivoted post-civil rights, post-68, post-Kennedy assassination, Vietnam War. All of these things were harrowing events that shook the foundation of trust and confidence in the legacy paradigm, in Anglo-Protestantism, if you will, or in the white consciousness in this country. And instead, we embraced pluralism. And pluralism was basically the idea that we are a collection of different peoples, that race is not what defines us. We are representations, or we are representative of a broader idea, right? This is what Charlie Kirk and Con Inc. and so forth, that's what they articulate. And basically, right and left have had a consensus of that view since the 1960s. And it doesn't much matter whether you were talking about legacy WASP families from New England, or you were talking about Jews from New York City, or you were talking about sort of upper middle class white folks or lower class white folks down south. All of these various respective groups agreed with that basic consensus. Well, that consensus has run amok. It has embraced, it has introduced tens of millions of foreigners now that have tested the social cohesion of the country. And so, quite conversely to what the black-pilled people and others have said would happen, which is basically the white population would disintegrate, that we would disassociate, that we would go off and hide in the wilderness. What we're doing is we're rigidifying. We're spontaneously reorganizing. Our consciousness is kicking back into gear. But if you're an elite technocrat, if you come out of the Fortune 500 companies, if you went to the Darden School, you don't see any of that. What you see is pluralism is sort of entrenched. It's immovable. It is your frame of reference. You cannot see or understand politics beyond it. You can't understand resistance, by example, to AIPAC, which is factored in to the pluralist paradigm, because the Jews, as we all know, are the most sacred, the most fetishized of all of the victims and all the minorities in the United States, which as a pluralist, we have an obligation to protect. In other words, the whole country has changed. We have essentially resurged in terms of our identity, and they can't understand it because for the last 50, 60, 70, 80 years, the country has looked totally different. Now they are in a situation which they're being asked, they're being rather forcefully told to reverse all of that, and they can't do it. And that's why this is going to escalate. They can't do it. They don't know how to do it. Remigration is impossible. It's something that the elites are incapable of doing. It's going to be forced by a new nationalist movement and a new set of elites who must take power in a new paradigm. This is why I have said pluralism is over. We are now in a kind of state of exception in which we're going to experience succession of a new order set by a new movement and a new set of elites who will reintegrate the nation and the state. What you're seeing, ladies and gentlemen, is a conflict between the state, all of the people that Dave described, the sort of faux elites who have mismanaged the legacy empire, the legacy imperium of the Anglo-Protestant elite, and the nation. And the nation is the ethnos, and the ethnos is waking up.
That's absolutely true. And I know that we talked about this at length last week, but I think nothing is illuminating the divide between the perceived elite class and legacy media than this Nick, Tucker, Candace, now Milo, and Elon Musk spat. I couldn't believe Elon Musk weighed into this. Can you pull up this tweet where Fuentes ratioed Elon Musk? I mean, this was like almost unheard of. He didn't even get unbanned on Twitter until relatively recently.
It's just been a couple of months.
Elon decided to stick his oar in like an idiot. He said, doesn't make sense that the FBI leaves Fuentes alone unless he is an asset of some kind. And Nick Fuentes, in true Nick Fuentes form, responded, everybody can see what you're doing, which is bad jacketing and snitch jacketing, which is exactly what Elon Musk is doing. And Elon got spectacularly ratioed. Now, this might not seem important, but Elon Musk is perhaps the most important technocrat. I mean, maybe. In human history, it's arguable. And he's deciding that this little guy that has gained so much steam, especially in the past few months, must be an FBI informant. He must be and Nick's on his stream the other day, to his credit, he did an excellent piece about how nobody would ever be satisfied despite what the outcome was on January 6th, because Ray Epps did get charged, and everybody was like, oh, well, he got charged so that he could have cover because he was working for the FBI. If you don't get charged, you're also working for the FBI. Like, Nick is in an impossible position here. So his response to this was just epic. He keeps doing these monologues where it feels like he's talking to all of us, like he represents all of us, and that's why they're so powerful. Can you play this clip?
Yes. I would be playing the clip more tightly, but...
Are we having tech problems?
No, we're not. I was just like our YouTube channel got monetized.
Oh, right.
So I was asking people to super chat, like real super chats.
Yes, please do go to Real Backlash on YouTube. If you are watching on my YouTube channel, it really helps us out. Don't forget to subscribe. And now we can get super chats over there. I see some people have super chatted, but help us get to our goal.
Well, we've been getting the power chats and the entropies and all that.
We don't have to watch all of this, but definitely we should watch the end.
No, this is my clip. Now that my head is back in the game, got my head in the game, we're going to be watching this whole clip, because this isn't even the one that went super viral. I have a tweet from 3 days ago.
This is the one I want to watch.
I know, but the other one, I'm going to shoot that fly. The other one went ridiculously viral. Hold on, let's pull this up. Here we go.
That have been taking checks from Fox News.
This isn't even the one that went super viral. Hold on a second. There we go. Tech problems now. Okay, there we go.
All these people that have been taking checks from Fox News, Turning Point USA, Dennis Prager, they're just not ready for this. They're not ready that we're in the Groyper generation. Because all this time, these past 8 years, what do you think I've been doing?
He's got it.
Vaporized.
Your attacks, your slander, your persecution, I have only been growing stronger. Don't you get it? I have only been gathering strength. 8 years. Lied about, censored, attacked, persecuted. Well, you were at parties getting millions of dollars for doing bullshit. Your show is ass, and you're full of shit, and you're retarded. And that is why I'm not just coming for Rumble. I'm not just coming for Twitter. I'm coming for all of it. I'm coming for all of it. You thought you'd bring me on the show and press me about Dave Smith? You don't know who the fuck you're dealing with. You let in a fucking dragon, bitch. Imagine shooting a man with this last bullet, which actually happened to me. They came to my house. They tried to kill me. I'm still here. I'm still at this house. You know where to find me. Bitch! You tried shooting with your last bullet, and I stand there, unfazed. So bring it on. Elon Musk, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Charlie Kirk. I'm coming for all of it. I'm gonna fuck up your apple cart, and all the king's men are not gonna be able to put it back together again. You might kill me in the process, but you're fucking done.
I hope not.
Signed, America.
Yeah, totally. And
all these people.
You have to wonder how many Nick Fuentes they are creating, people that are not responding to the incentives of wealth or modern luxuries or bread and circuses, people that all they want, their one sole burning desire in their life is to just fuck the whole system up.
Yep. Yeah.
It must be literally millions of people.
At least hundreds of thousands.
At least hundreds of thousands.
Nick's stated goal is to create 100,000 Nicks.
Yeah.
And it's happening.
I think it is too, yeah.
I mean, the amount. So like this other clip, let me just show the audience, I guess. The audience. I shouldn't call them the audience. Let me show you what I tweeted the other day. Let's see. Here it is. Look at this thing. This blew up 2.4 million impressions, 50,000 likes over this clip of Nick kind of blowing the lid on the whole
His
operation.
videos, it's not just...
I had like 18-year-old kids texting me screenshots from Instagram where somebody had screen recorded my video with my name still on it and posted that to Instagram. That had 1 million views.
And yet we're still not rich.
True, we're not. But it doesn't matter because this is happening. I mean, there are young kids that are looking at this and identifying with this, and Nick's not lying.
No.
He is right.
He is right.
And it is radicalizing these people. And it's like not just that, it's this problem of justice that we still don't have anyone in jail for the Epstein stuff.
I know.
We still don't have people in jail for the Antifa riots. We don't have people in jail for crossing the borders illegally or the cartel narco shit. Nothing is happening. No one is going to jail.
And then the media is praising Trump now for his treatment of Epstein. The leftist media, Nick was talking about how he saw something on CNN.
Yeah, a 3-minute glaze fest from this
just
Jewish
unreal.
journalist.
We should know that because he's being accepted by leftist media, that he clearly is not our guy anymore. But the powers that be are not going to allow us to organize. They're going to throw everything they have at us because they want to stop a nationalist, ethnocentric movement from arising in all of our nations. They have to stop this. This is from Greg Reese. If you guys aren't following him on Twitter, you've got to. He's a great follow. Let's do 337 until, I don't know, almost the end. But this is about the surveillance state.
337.
That's great.
Boop.
Murders, incentivizes homelessness, and lets violent criminals walk. Why? It's to get you to accept more tyranny so that you feel safe. And for many, it's working. The same digital ID surveillance state that many were opposed to just a few years ago is quickly taking shape. Under the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration's previous regulations, it was illegal to build a satellite that could identify individual people. But Trump changed that in 2018.
No one noticed.
Albedo Space is now creating satellites with cameras that can capture images with high detail down to 10 centimeters or 4 inches. They are called VLEO satellites, very low Earth orbit, and are only 100 miles above our heads. An eye in the sky that can see you in your home. Albedo Space is funded in part by Bill Gates' investment firm Breakthrough Energy Ventures. ICE is now the home to the highest paid feds, and their new biometric surveillance tech, the Inmate Recognition and Identification System,
what could possibly go
IRIS,
wrong?
and its mobile counterpart, Morris, allow low IQ ICE goons the ability to positively identify individuals in seconds from virtually anywhere. The police state is coming fast, and without any pushback, everyone will need to be registered into the biometric checkpoint carbon tax system.
Let's do this. Let's do this together. Let's see. It's going to go pretty quickly.
Greg Reese reporting.
And of course, he's deploying.
Hold on.
He's deploying the National Guard for the National Guard that he's creating to urban centers in the city, which will turn on all of us. But the public sentiment seems to be that surveillance entities are a virtual inevitability, that they're profitable. And that probably explains Palantir's exorbitant valuation. Cameron sent me this article this week about Palantir's. Oh, what is this?
This is DC.
Seriously?
Yeah. They've deployed, I think, over 600 National Guardsmen to Washington, D.C. They will be on a several-month rotation, from what I understand, where it'll be a permanent rotation where basically they're going to bring National Guardsmen into D.C., train them, and then keep them active for rapid deployment at any city in the country. Yeah.
Wow, great. What could possibly go wrong?
What could possibly go wrong?
I don't know why anybody would view this as a positive development. It's not like he's going to weaponize this against criminal minority communities.
I view it as a positive development.
Really?
And, yeah, and I'll say that last video is just a lot of bullshit. So let's. You guys are lucky that I'm on this show because
True.
this sort of thing expresses the intellectual bankruptcy of the right. People on the right need to let go of this faux Marxist framework that the elites create concentrations of capital and power. They propagandize that power or they coercively use that power. And no matter what, we cannot break that cycle, right? Whether a government rises or falls, whether there's opposition to it or not, it's all orchestrated and controlled. That is a load of bullshit, all right? The United States military, our industrial capacity is hollowed out. There was just an article that came out addressing this with drones. It's called America's High Stakes Drone Problem. Now, let me just read this to you because it's important. It illustrates the incapacity of the US government and military to actually build anything. So it says, an iPhone with propellers. If you look at a drone sitting next to an iPhone, they may seem like they don't have much in common, but under the hood, the two devices are close relatives with common technological DNA. Both use lithium-ion batteries, tiny high-quality cameras, rare earth magnets, sensors like gyroscopes, and accelerometers, and of course, the microprocessors that power their digital brains. No matter how many carbon fiber drone frames and propeller blades you make in the US, an American drone will need to get many of its key components from outside the United States. China dominates the supply chain for most drone components, making local sourcing extremely difficult. And then they've got a screenshot that shows you, look, we have not fabricated, manufactured a nuclear powered submarine in decades. Our entire carrier strike group fleet, which consists more or less of 10 carriers at any given time, most of them are decades old. We haven't built an oil refinery in 50 years. We've built a nuclear power station in 50 years, okay? We are incapacitated. Now, National Guard sounds really scary. National Guard's not regular army. We don't have the forces to send. Now, the reason this is a good thing is because the state, the US government, is going to be exposed for its incapacity. And if you've watched carefully, the ICE raids have been egregious failures because they can't even get control of municipal areas in the United States. Most infamously, of course, Los Angeles. We are not entering into a police state. The US government is bankrupt. It's running out of money. It doesn't have control of its agencies. Nobody's really in control. This is why Larry Fink from BlackRock wants baby bonds, because even though he owns a massive share of US stock across the US stock exchange, a lot of those companies are in trouble. They're hemorrhaging jobs. Their market capitalizations don't reflect economic reality on the street. The same thing is happening in England. The same thing is happening in France. These countries, these governments, these states are hollowed out. They're losing control. So we've got to drop this police state bullshit. It's not the future. Where we're headed is into a very lawless and dangerous power vacuum in which the state lacks the muscle, the capacity, the leadership to actually control the outcome. This is why you're seeing the Online Safety Act in the United Kingdom, because the government is afraid. They don't know what else to do. They're losing control of the situation. So will Donald Trump, who doesn't really appear to have a clue about the financial emergency that he's sailing the US government into with tariffs, among other things. And it is, I think, noteworthy that Goldman Sachs and a lot of major financial firms in this country have pointed to the fact that we're headed into a recession or something much worse. So I say all of that to say this. If you are engaged politically, if you're listening to our podcast, you are awake. You're watching Nick Fuentes. Nick Fuentes is a 26-year-old precocious young man who is outmaneuvering, outflanking the richest man in the world, the most important media celebrity in the world, because he commands hundreds of thousands of loyal followers who believe in his message, which is largely, if not completely, correct. We are in a different kind of politics. And as you saw in that town hall, what the legacy government and the elites, the technocrats who run it say, doesn't matter anymore. So open your mind, use your imagination, all right? Stop fixating on this elite versus masses dichotomy. That brand of politics is over. We're entering into something new now, something transcendent, something that's going to rise from the street level. It's not going to be controlled by satellites in space, okay?
I mean, I hear you, but at the same time, for the reasons that you're stating, the fact that, you know, people like Nick are able to do what they're doing, this is what makes me look at Palantir, home of Lavender AI, which is being used to murder hundreds of thousands of Palestinians. Granted, the Israelis are getting walloped over there. I mean, every day, you know, you see new footage of an Israeli security detachment getting completely massacred, you know, because they don't know what the fuck they're doing. But that's neither here nor there. I mean, I know the fact that the government still has the ability to print money, which they do, I can see one last death gasp of this system using AI, using these, you know, types of paramilitary policing to go. And I mean, if it gets to this point where it really does tip over, we go to war with Iran again, which Foreign Policy Magazine just had an article out, you know, stating that, you know, the likelihood of us dropping more bombs on Iran. Sorry, I said it, Iran. It's Iran. That is looking to be more likely. Mm-hmm. You know, Cameron was talking about this a couple of weeks ago when we were bombing wherever we were bombing. Wow.
Syria?
No.
What are you talking
What's
about?
the name of the Fort Al?
Oh,
sorry,
right,
I couldn't remember the name of the nuclear plant. This Iran thing is not over. It was not a 12-day war. This has been going on for 20 plus years.
Of course, yeah.
This is going to flare up again. And when it does, if people start to get uppity and they start protesting this, then I see very clearly a scenario where Palantir gets rolled out, ICE, the feds roll out to suppress dissent. And I'm concerned about that. You know, I think
with what forces? So what I would like you to do while I talk is bring up the shots of ICE in Los Angeles, where they were overwhelmed by opposition that basically muzzled any effort that they tried to take. And I think that it was the correct effort. Remember, the estimates are that there's 1 million illegal immigrants in Los Angeles alone. 1 million. Okay. And ICE was egregiously outnumbered and outgunned. This is because our paramilitary forces, our industrial capacity is hollowed out. Now, yes, the government exists as a monolithic entity. It has not fragmented, it has not fractured, but it's largely run by different rogue interests, right? This is another mistake that people on the right make. They assume that it's this top-down, carefully managed machine. It is not. It is not. You have lots of competing interests. The reality is that what the intelligence agencies have been doing for 50 years is completely unknown to congressional authority. There is no oversight. They are completely off the grid rogue agencies. In other words, who is going to marshal the forces that you're describing to impose, coercively or not, the kind of direct rule that you're talking about? It's not there. And by way of historical precedent, I should mention, if you go back to the 1930s, when we basically declared bankruptcy and FDR issued an executive order outlawing the private ownership of gold, there was no police force that went knocking on anybody's door to confiscate their gold. It was a purely voluntary exercise. Why was that, Dave? Because they didn't have the forces to do it, and they don't today. Today, in a far more dangerous sense, I worry about quite the opposite. I worry about what you're seeing on the screen, that we don't have the forces to reimpose the rule of law once things start to really slide completely out of control. And if the economy gets worse, if we have a fiscal crisis, we won't be able to pay for a lot of these forces, right? So this is a situation that I think far more accurately characterizes where we are. It should also inform you in this particular sense. You have agency. All right. All of you watching this have a lot more power. You see what just a few thousand Englishmen in Manchester or various parts of England has done. It has completely changed the conversation in England. Now, what's not going to happen, as I said earlier, is that the British government, the parliament, they're not going to 180 degree shift policy. That will not happen. But what will also not happen is the imposition of an Orwellian state. That's not going to happen either. And it's not going to happen in the United States. So we need to let go of that, because that is a disempowering idea that cripples our ability to take action and demonstrate agency.
Oh my gosh.
You make good points.
He's deflated me before my monologue, which is just I don't even know if I believe what I wrote anymore.
Well, let's give it a go anyway.
Oh no. We can discuss it. Camera did mention that he disagrees with me.
Well, it's okay. You want me to pull this up?
Yeah.
All right.
Has anybody ever said what you wanted to, but in a much more intelligent way right before you had to present something?
Yes.
Really? That's happened to you before?
Yes.
This might be a first.
All the time.
Are we
Happens to the best of us.
Are we calling this Rebecca Rants?
Rebecca's rants
Rebecca's
for today.
rants.
Let's hold on. I got to pull this up. I'm pulling it up. No.
There we
Pull it
go.
down.
Thank you.
Pull it down. Okay.
So I wanted to talk about surveillance and mass migration. And now I'm feeling a total lack of confidence.
Don't. Just
go for it. Let's hear it.
Where's Robin? I need my hype girl. She just had a baby. We're embarking on an unprecedented era of government surveillance. So I was thinking this week, why does the government watch our every move? Is it mainly for the potential for blackmail? Or are they trying to understand the zeitgeist of the public as elites grow increasingly disconnected from us? So what is their primary motivation? In basically all fictional works, I was like, don't mention 1984. Don't mention 1984. But it's impossible not to. The government uses surveillance to force the population into strict adherence with their desired set of beliefs. And of course, this involves blackmail. But as we know, they will use literally any means necessary to achieve their goal of ideological conformity. And although our current surveillance system is vaster than we ever could have imagined, virtually every historical regime has employed the same tactics that we're experiencing to the maximum ability that their respective levels of technology afforded. So Stasi's, East Communist Germany, they employed hundreds of thousands of informants to monitor citizens' daily lives, their communications, their associations. In order to enforce this loyalty, they severely punished perceived treachery with arrests, job loss, social ostracism. And as a result, there was strict uniform obedience to the state. There would be no need for enforcement on this level if there was no threat to the given regime. And if open dialogue is a threat to the regime, invariably, you know that the regime is nefarious. So a surveillance state is not a reliable way to achieve state allegiance. And on this, I think Cameron and I probably agree. It undermines social cohesion and trust. And when a nation's underpinnings are not based on morality, yield of ethnic character, it is destined to fail. Resentments overwhelm the system. Human creativity is stifled. Economic woes become inevitable. Surveillance cannot be their only tactic. Even if the regime is outwardly successful, their rule is fragile, and an outburst of human ingenuity, born of necessity, threatens at any moment to dismantle elite power, which I think explains their multi-pronged approach. They've deployed multiculturalism on us, the brown bioweapon, to use in tandem with a surveillance state. This is from Tobias Langdon for UN's review. I thought it was poignant. In part, this is because American government no longer regards the white majority as its own people. Instead, it's hostile towards them and wants to swamp them with mass immigration from the third world. The same is true of other white majority nations, from Ireland in the far northwest to New Zealand in the far southeast. We are ruled by a hostile elite that is dominated by Jews and guided by their anti-white, anti-Christian attitudes. We have a state surveillance because the state regards us as enemies, obstacles to glorious multiracial and Islamified future they're preparing us for. The official justification for this surveillance is breathtaking in its chutzpah.
Chutzpah.
Chutzpah?
Chutzpah. You don't know what chutzpah is?
I know what it is, but I've only seen it in writing.
Chutzpah. You got to give it that.
Like Hamas?
Hamas. Chutzpah.
Chutzpah. I can't do it.
Okay.
We're told that they need to spy on us to keep us safe from terrorism and from extremists who seek to divide us. But the terrorism wouldn't exist without the mass immigration imposed on us by our hostile elites. And what could be more divisive than mass immigration from primitive alien cultures? Well, one thing could be mass immigration accompanied by massive state-sponsored anti-racist propaganda blaming whites for all non-white failures. And that's precisely what we've got, mass immigration accompanied by massive anti-white propaganda. The hostile elite creates the disease to which it offers supposed cures. This is important. We must always be wary of their cures. We have to be vigilant about this. It isn't just Palantir claiming to protect us. They're offering cures for all that ail us. You can't afford a house? Live in this pod. Are you feeling empty because you lack an identity? Be part of the LGBTQ community. Do you have a God-sized hole in your heart? Consume. Are you lonely? Here's an AI girlfriend. Are you hungry? Eat the goy slop. Are you bored? Watch the goy slop. And how are they able to get away with this? In a healthy society in which identity unifies the people, there's a baseline sense of understanding, a high level of trust based on shared values. And that's the answer, to resurrect the identity. And what is the heart of any given identity or sense of values? It's the race, it's the ethnos, and the creativity that springs forth thereof. You are who you are. I am who I am. Dave, even WAP Dave, is who he is because of the people before us, because they were industrious, they were marriageable, because they were tough, resilient, and because they did not fall prey to the psychological tactics being deployed upon them. So if you're here, if you're listening to us, you were quite literally born to resist the temptations of Jewish oligarchs. You were born for that. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Can ethnic and cultural ties that bind us alone protect us from government tyranny? Do we need more than that? Chutzpah. Chutzpah.
Chutzpah.
Chutzpah. Am I doing it right?
No. Chutzpah.
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 I don't know,
Yeah,
it's not in me.
It's okay. You haven't lived around Jews very much.
I have not.
I used to work for them. I mean, like half of my boss. I mean, when I worked at Radio Shack, I was a Jewish guy.
That's no good, buddy.
One of my best bosses, Norman Mail.
Norman.
He was a hard worker.
Cameron.
He always would come into work.
I bet he was a hard worker.
Yeah.
I can't take any more criticism today.
It's okay.
I can't.
Well, so we'll skip Cameron.
Yeah,
now.
but my criticism was designed as empowerment, right? And while I think while I think what you wrote was eloquently stated, I think it belongs in 1984. Look, both of you in particular, right? And I think I say this in part because you guys have been in this business a lot longer than I have. 10 years.
He disagrees
right?
with
More or
love.
less. And you've been censored or you've been doxxed or, in Dave's case, he was on the front lines in Charlottesville. And that has affected your frame of reference. It has. It has changed your perception in such a way that you're always playing defense. And both of you, and frankly, if you're listening to this podcast, you need to wrap your mind around the very real possibility that what's happening now is an inversion. We are now the intellectual vanguard. If you go back and watch carefully, that exchange between the journalist and that pastor talking about evangelizing Christianity, if you notice that he controlled the frame, he wasn't playing defense. She was playing defense. Now, if you go back to the 1960s, when this paradigmatic shift occurred, as I said earlier, and we're all well-versed in these topics, you had folks like Saul Alinsky, right, who wrote Rules for Radicals. You had the Frankfurt School that Dave referenced earlier. You had Betty Friedan in second wave feminism. Mm-hmm. These ideas were cantankerous at the time. A lot of people didn't like them. There was a lot of pushback, but they changed the frame of reference. They changed the cultural conversation. They put the WASP elite on the defensive. Now the reverse is happening. Now the ethnos, the awakened populations across the Western world, they are now playing offense, and the people in power are playing defense, and they don't have any answers. This is a permutation, a new kind of politics. And the answer to our plight is not going to come from voting for somebody. It's not going to be some new political party per se. It's going to be from exogenous actions and characters, people like Fuentes, right? He's not an elected official. He is a character. He is a person, a mind on Twitter. So are we. That's what our podcast is. So I say all of that to say this. Imagination is what has been lacking in the nationalist right for a long time, as has faith. You know, you guys talk a good game about faith, but when I talk about the ethnos, when I talk about awakening, nobody believes me. You have more faith in the Jewish elites that want to collateralize babies who have lost complete control of the narrative than you do in your own ethnic population's ability to wake up and figure out what's going on. Your faith is misplaced. You need to find faith in your own people, your own kind again. If you can do that, then all the other problems that we face can be overcome.
That's true. I think that we give Jews this deity level power over us, that they control everything, that we're in a system we can never get out of because everything is against us. It's like it's divinely ordained. We need to stop thinking about them in this way. They're just people, satanic people.
True. Yeah.
Look, there is just real quick before Dave goes. There is a guy, a French Marxist named Louis Althusser, and he wrote a series of Marxist work. Right, the guy who described all of this better than anybody else, by the way, was Roger Scruton. If you don't know who he is, you should look him up. But he referred to cultural Marxism as the nonsense machine, okay? Because that's exactly what it is. Anyway, this French Marxist wrote a book called Ideology and the Ideological State Apparatuses, all right? In which he argued basically that society was a construct. It was a construct of materialist institutions, the family, media, culture, education, religion, et cetera, that tell you everything about who you are, that impose upon you some faux character, some avatar, rather than your true self, okay? This is what he believed. And he believed essentially that there were two apparatuses. One was the ideological state apparatus, and one was the repressive state apparatus. The ideological apparatus, according to Althusser, was more powerful, all right, because it was all of these sort of subtle things that embedded into your psyche and controlled who you are. Look, it has been estimated that there are more neural connections in your brain than there are known particles in the universe. If I were to ask Dave or you, Rebecca, to describe your relationship with your mother or your brother or your life's purpose or your relationship with God and codify that in law or an institution, I could not do it because we are too spiritually complex. We are too dynamic. We are metaphysical creatures. There is no ideological apparatus that tells you who you are. That's a load of bullshit. Most of what we do on any given day has nothing to do with any law written anywhere, nor could it. There is no mind that could create any dynamic system that would control those things. This is the Marxist mind virus that has gotten control of the right and has convinced you that these people can control mass populations. Well, if what's happening in England and across Europe is any indicator, that's a load of hogwash. They haven't convinced anybody of anything. And I think if you look at the hard data, if you look at the self-segregation, if you look at the actual distribution of population across the Western world, nobody ever bought into any of this. It was only the elites. And it was the elites primarily who wanted to get rich, right? They bought into it so they could get a corporate office in some high-rise apartment in some major city in the United States. That's it. But privately, nobody bought into any of this bullshit because it's just a nonsense machine. So we are now the intellectual vanguard. They are playing defense and we are playing offense.
Fuentes, Howard Beale moment.
No, it's very good. Don't get me wrong, but I see an opportunity to shoot a fly.
He's just massacring flies. You know, I've never been happier to be wrong about something because Cameron's message is powerful.
Yeah.
It's empowering, and I feel better about our current situation because when we get blackpilled, we're thinking, we're in an electronic prison. We're never going to get out of it. The lives of my children are going to be worse than my life. And I love that your message is like, you're wrong, but things aren't as bad as you think that they are.
Well, and, I was thinking also about something that Cam said, talking about Charlottesville. This is the first year in the past 8 years that something has not happened to me, I guess, over the last 3 days, right? Because there have been these groups, maybe they were funded by USAID or something, I don't know, but they're not on Twitter anymore. Normally, there's some big article or tweet thread that's like listing, these are all of the people that were involved in Charlottesville and they're still not in jail, blah, blah, blah. And then, they invariably put me on the list.
And they've just fallen off.
Yeah, they're not, that didn't, hold on, why aren't you, come on, man. What's going on here?
Just Nick Fuentes.
They aren't, that didn't happen this year. This is the first year in 8 years.
That's great. That means they've stopped caring.
I don't think that they've stopped caring. I mean, I think it'll probably come back at the 10-year mark. But I guess what I'm saying is that did have a incredible psychologically traumatizing effect on me. To go down thinking that we had the right to assembly, we had a permanent event, we had freedom of speech, and then within 3 or 4 days coming home and there's 5 or 6 news vans parked outside my house. We lost $500,000 in a day. We got boycotted before the words cancel culture became widely known.
You were an early adopter of cancel culture.
People still believed the press back in 2017. So when my local newspaper wrote about it, they all were like, oh, I guess Dave's a Nazi, whatever, And that did have a profound psychological impact on me. And I do think that Cameron is right. And, people are shifting. They have shifted. Maybe they were never there to begin with. And the facade that there's, just the facade is breaking.
Yeah.
At this point. But, I don't know. I guess one of the other things that I wanted to bring up, besides the other load of shit that I had in my bookmarks that we're not going to get to, a lot of Lindsey Graham, really interesting quote from Lindsey Graham this week saying that something if we like pull the plug on Israel, then we'll be destroyed or something like that. Like it's pretty crazy. Maybe we'll get to it in a send a super chat if you want to see that video. But no, just watching what's been going on with Nick, watching what he's been saying, he's got his program, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, so like where do we fit in? And I started looking at our audience demographic data, and Nick's audience is predominantly like 16 years old to like 25. He has got the youth. It's game over. It's over. Like all of these boomers running around. I know that at that Zionist church in town, they're having another big hubbub at their church in the next couple of weeks about Groyperism and monarchism or some bullshit. Like nobody cares. But they're all swinging at ghosts. There is nothing that can stop what is coming as far as the youth are concerned. So where do we fit in? I checked our X demographics. We are heavy on the 35 to 45, and then also 25 to 35. And so what we need to be doing is making new kids and preparing the way for the youth to come up and lead. And we need to be doing that by building parallel economies, by building new businesses, by building fraternal networks that can come out of the woodwork, this spontaneous reorganization that Cameron is always talking about. We need to be laying the groundwork for that, for the moment when a Nick Fuentes or one of his acolytes is able to actually come up, either seize power, get elected, whatever, and then we're there to support them. And so, I don't know, just...
I'm fine being in a supporting role.
That's my closing thought about this whole kind of thing. And, but that being said, we need to be building the technology, we need to be building the networks to make this possible.
And that's what this show is all about. You two have been absolutely on fire today.
Really?
Yeah,
I'm
done.
sick. I've got like the man flu. I've been like blowing my nose.
Oh yeah, I was over here with his wife yesterday because we were doing this photo shoot, and his wife, who's way sicker than he is, totally fine. And then Dave is literally rolling around
in a walker.
And he's like, I'm so sick. He was being such a pussy.
Yeah. Well, it's the man flu. It's like you couldn't possibly understand.
Beta male.
You're not a man.
Beta male.
My husband's an alpha male, and he always bitches out with illnesses.
Yeah, well, they affect us disproportionately.
That is insane. I have given birth.
Yeah. Well, you ever get kicked in the balls?
Oh, God.
The only other thing I'll say, and I've said this before, do not subscribe to any philosophy, any faith that disempowers you, that tells you that you have no agency. And again, I say this specifically to our audience because I see a lot of these comments all the time. I got a comment on one of my posts recently. It said, well, I don't know what's going to happen in England, but, return to the land is going to fail. All right, this is what he said. This is a typical sort of negativity that I see. And I tried to convey to him what I've said earlier this evening. Reframe what's happening. The fact that we're openly talking about all white communities, right? The fact that we're openly talking about the Zionist control of our government. We're actively facilitating remigration, whether we're having summits about it or there's protests in the street across the world, across the Western world. Those things were impossible even 2 years ago. Impossible. Tell me I'm wrong, Dave.
No.
Tell me I'm
No,
wrong.
you're right. You're absolutely right.
You're
So
right.
where are we going to be in 3 months or 6 months or 12 months? Don't tell me that we're in some kind of Marxist echo chamber and all we're going to do is bounce around and end up with the same group of neophyte elites who don't really know what the hell's going on and have blown themselves up in private equity. They've blown themselves up in the banking system. They've blown up the economy. And now they can't even outfit the industrial machine that is the U.S. military that they were supposed to repurpose to fight their war against Iran. We can't handle it because they deindustrialized us. You see? So the nature of the people we're dealing with is self-destructive. They can be overthrown and defeated, and that is what is going to happen.
Yes, the word is hubris.
Yes.
And
it will be their downfall.
That is exactly what they're doing. And it's not just, I think, after thinking about it after hearing Cameron's perspective on this thing, I think you're right.
I think he is right.
Especially with this National Guard thing, it's very clear what they're trying to do, like with the deploying to DC and then doing these 1 or 2 month on, off, whatever. They're trying to train a force to be able to be a rapid deployment force to the cities, which is a concerning idea. But they're having to do that to train them from nothing. They don't have the force to do that right now, and whether they will have the force to do that in 6 months remains to be seen, to quote Cameron with his he always says remains to be seen. But anyway, what doesn't remain to be seen is what happens when our economy is being ruled by this elite. We went over this.
I was going to transition and say, you know how to fight the Jews. You hoard gold.
Buy gold? Yeah. All right, Shylock, go ahead.
No, that's it. That's all.
Okay. Well, I was going to say is, we went over earlier on a lot about how the economy is fucked. They're opening up the gambling in the retirement accounts. They're talking about revaluing gold. There's a lot of talk about the de-dollarization, people going with bricks and all of this kind of stuff. And it is going to get volatile here. It is going to get volatile over the next 3-4 years. And the best way that you can protect yourself, protect your family, protect your savings is by investing in gold. Gold and silver from our friends at atlasbullion.com/backlash. You can also find a link to their website on our website. You can go to affiliate links and click gold and silver. Or, hey, if you are watching on YouTube, down below, down there.
And before we get to Tallow and Super Chats, please support us at thebacklash.net/superchat or on our YouTube channel. Please sub there.
We got 5 Super Chats on our YouTube.
At Real Backlash. You can now send Super Chats, which I cannot believe. Please sub to us on there, and we're just going to ride this until the wheels fall off, right?
Hell yeah.
Start having faith, Rebecca. Start having faith.
I am an inherently neurotic and negative person. It's a major character defect. So I'm glad that you're here, Cameron, so that we don't spiral out in a negative, paranoid, just tornado of negative emotions. That's what it would be.
If nothing else, you guys are still here, man. You guys are the veterans. I'm new to this space. You guys have been here a decade. You're still here.
Yeah, that's very true.
You're winning. That means you're winning.
He's our hype guy.
Hell yeah.
Thank you, Cameron.
And if you want to see what we look like in another 10 years, well, if you invest in gold, you're going to be fucking rich. Not financial advice. Do your own research. But anyway, you can get signed up on Atlas Bullion for gold and silver subscriptions with plans starting as low as $55 a month. You can start building a stack that will help you weather the financial crisis that is coming. Make no doubt about it. Please visit our friends atlasbullion.com/backlash today.
You want to do tallow too while we're at it? And then we can get to super chats?
Yes, we can do that. This show, of course, is brought to you by not only you. And your super chats and your help and donations, which can be made on thebacklash.net. But it's also brought to us by North Idaho Tallow Company. If you're tired of skincare packed with chemicals you can't pronounce, at North Idaho Tallow Company, we keep it simple. With grass-fed tallow, time-tested ingredients, and zero junk. Our soaps, balms, and lip balm are packed with bioavailable nutrients that your skin actually needs. No fillers, no endocrine disruptors, just rugged, reliable skincare that works. Ditch the synthetic garbage and switch to North Idaho Tallow Company. Get yours at idahotallow.com. And I saw they've got some interesting new soaps that are coming out. They have a Soap of the Month subscription. I highly recommend it. You basically get all the soap that you need automatically once a month. And you get to fund the Backlash through their amazing advertising program. But you also get a chance to get some soaps that you are not normally able to order on the website. So please check out their soap subscription at idahotallow.com. Okay, now let's do some super chats, huh?
Let's do it.
Let's get into it.
We might be getting to a place where we can only do like $10 and up soon.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to start on Entropy. From Flair Cake, who sent $14.88. Got to catch the replay, just stopping by to recommend Jason Kessler's book and to say that Blonde is looking too fine with her hair up.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, so that's a...
Simp alert.
Simp alert. We've got a positive comment about Blonde's hair. Hold
Yay.
on. Let me... hold on a second. I got to refresh this page. And while we're refreshing that page... let's go over to Power Chat. Today is the 13th. I've got to refresh that page too. Okay, we'll ping pong. Okay. Really prepared here for the Super Chat segment. Silent Bear sent $10 listening to you guys in the cigar lounge. P.S. Care package incoming maybe next Wednesday.
Cool.
Thank you so much, Silent Bear. I would love to know what kind of... I've been smoking... apostate cigars recently. I don't know how difficult it is to get your hands on apostate cigars, but they are fantastic. Made by ex-Mormons, so they're no longer Mormon. Obviously selling tobacco products, but the Endowment, probably one of the best cigars that I've had ever. And the Deseret, very good. I don't know. I smoke like 3 or 4 cigars.
Just so you know, it is a well-known fact. It's borderline a cultural trope that if you are in a cigar lounge in Central Europe or another posh place of that ilk, that when you go into the cigar lounge, they have James Bond playing on repeat.
Really?
Throughout your time. Oh yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Here, hold on. I got to give these.
They do it in the U.S. too, but not as much.
I got to give these guys a free ad. They're so good. I don't know if there's a way that we could get a sponsorship deal with them.
You should ask them.
They could send me like a case of cigars. I'll start smoking indoors. But yeah, these are absolutely terrific cigars, and you know that your money is not going to the Mormon Church because they got kicked out. So anyway, fantastic stuff. And if you'd like to maybe send us a box of cigars, you can do that at P.O. Box 853, Post Falls, Idaho 83877. If you've got any fun things that you want to send us for whatever reason, fan mail, money.
Anthrax?
No. How about not? No. Not anthrax. But yeah, please send us whatever you like. P.O. Box 853, Post Falls, Idaho 83877. And that also works, for example, if you want to help support the show, on our website, we have a little Amazon wish list that you can click into, with equipment that would make the show even better than it already is. So you can send that to P.O. Box 853, Post Falls, Idaho 83877.
We appreciate it.
Have I said that enough times? Whoa, Kelly, 1488, sent $100 on Rumble. No witty comment, just some love from Eastern Washington.
Aw, thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
That's wonderful.
I wonder if it's actually a chick. Well, Kelly is also a dude's name.
Kelly could be a guy. James Johnson with $100
No way.
super chat from was it? No, yeah, Power Chat. It's been a while. Here's some dosh. Keep up the great work, guys. Hope you and yours are doing well. Oh, thank you.
This warms my heart. Thank you so much.
That reminds me, by the way, there was a documentary made about the Post Falls Patriot Front incident that was done by, his name is escaping me right now. But it's out there. There's a documentary. We need to cover it on the show at some point.
Okay.
And they kind of go over the whole, you guys remember the Pride incident in Coeur d'Alene where all these Patriot Front people.
Why don't you put it in the outline?
Because I never think of it until it's too late. Anyway, great stuff going on. Robert sent $25. Wow, really, Dave? No tiki torch? What kind of Nazi are you?
I know.
Cameron over here looking like Hitler's top guy and blonde probably packing a loaded Luger in her purse. Your only redemption is to wear a historically accurate piece of SS attire on stream.
Yeah, get with it.
Well, okay, fine. I'll do it. Send it to P.O. Box 853, Post Falls, Idaho, 83877, and I'll wear it. Oh, dear God. What is about to happen to me? Aggie Jet Pilot just sent $50.
Oh, thank you.
As someone who just had his first kid at 40, I can say I did buy into the idea that I had to be economically secure before having kids. Didn't think it would have taken so long and wish we'd started having kids sooner, but hindsight is 2020.
Here's an unpopular opinion. Kids are cheap.
Yeah.
They're just so cheap. Everybody's like, kids are so expensive. I'm like, no, they're not.
No.
First year of their life, free.
Breastfeeding.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not hard.
The biggest expense is stuff they break.
And the best part about it, and I mean, I'm on my third kid now, but between the breastfeeding thing, which kind of like eases you into it, you know, because you're still only having to feed 2 mouths for that first year. But seeing this thing that you made that like looks up at you and loves you and smiles at you, like that, it will motivate you
totally
to get your shit together.
Annalise is putting 2 words together now.
Oh boy. So don't wait.
Don't wait, just do it. Yeah.
If you find someone, you're compatible, hopefully you have the same religion, hopefully you're the same race, and you like each other.
Don't get too hung up on love.
Love is bullshit. Love is the want of a good of another. What all of these movies do, like the princess fairy tales, that's all like lust. It's feelings. That ain't what real relationships are based on. Real relationships are based on, hey, I like you, and we want to bring kids into the world together.
We have shared values.
We have shared values, and we're going to engage in a multi-generational project together.
Also, relationships are built based on shared suffering. So think about that.
I make my wife suffer a lot.
Well, I'm talking about like having kids. It's martyrdom.
Oh, that too.
Yeah. It's joyous and everything. But
there's the icon I've seen of, it's like a man's hand and a woman's hand, and they're nailed to Christ's hand. Yeah, there's a really good icon of that. And it's, that's true. Like when you get married, you pick your cross, and, it ain't easy.
Right.
But you get over it, and it makes you stronger.
Yeah.
So
I think the thing about marriage is that you have to go into it and be like, no matter what, I'm not going to get divorced.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the one thing with the Catholic Church. You can't.
Yeah.
That's one and done.
Yeah.
You're
I shouldn't say no matter what, but
Yeah. Having an out is baloney. I mean, and I think that's probably why most marriages fail.
That's why,
is because they are constantly thinking to themselves in their head, I could always leave. Maybe I could find someone better. Or whatever.
Right.
And that's self-sabotage.
Just eliminating that self-doubt is really important.
It right from the beginning. Absolutely. Yo, Jimbo Rockford sent $20.
It's like 4 a.m. where Cameron is. He's
so
like,
sorry.
shut the
fuck up and read the damn super chats. Yo, Jimbo Rockford sent $20. My body is a machine that converts Zog Slop deliveries into tallow soap, dissident books, and hard RN towers. Love you, fags.
That's my boy. We love you too.
Thank you, Mr. Yo Jimbo.
Cameron, do you want to go to bed?
Look at him. He's falling asleep.
Go to bed.
Just a little bit.
Okay.
He's like, just
it's not the hour. It's all the domestic talk. I just
why don't you log off and hit the hay, Cameron?
If you want to leave,
of course.
I've got a button. I can just make
we got
disappear.
it. Yeah.
So just let
go
me
to
know.
bed, Cameron. Go.
Are we going through the beginning of the movie, The Purge? It started with race wars, and then our politicians passed a law for one night a year where all crimes are forgiven. That's Juneteenth. I used to be against this, but I think whites would need to take the country back.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Cameron, do you have
That's
anything you want
what needs to happen, and that's what's going to happen, and that's what people are figuring out. So yeah, it will, but it's not going to be the purge, right? I think, again, have faith in our ability to figure this out. We did manage to get through the Renaissance. We did build the Roman Empire. I think we can handle remigration. I think we got it.
Nice. By the way, that documentary about Patriot Front is at if you go on X at ATG_SD. Let me see if I can pull this up. I gave it a shout out, so let's.
For the sake of Cameron, we're gonna have to hustle up.
SD. Hold on. This will be easy. This will be quick. Here. Boom. ATG SD. There's the documentary.
Oh,
it's
cool.
right there
Okay.
at the top. Screenshot this. Get in there. Watch it. It's good shit. ATG SD on X. Okay. Righteous Muffin sent another $5. And once we take the country back, we wouldn't need a purge night anymore. Food for thought.
Yeah.
So true.
Truth.
Unreconstructed Yeoman sent $10 on Rumble. Doug Wilson is an anti-racist J-lover and is actively excommunicating pro-white anti-Semitic men from his denomination. I'd be grateful if you didn't promote him. Well, you know, this is...
Is this true?
I don't know. But
if true, I
know that he's had a spat back and forth with the Stone Choir guys, with Corey Muller. We will ask Joel Webbin about this.
Okay.
Joel Webbin is...
If true, I disavow.
True. Joel Webbin is going to be joining us at the end of the month, the last Monday of the month. Don't remember what day, but he is the head pastor at Right Response Ministries. He's a Protestant, and we agree on a lot.
Dave,
and we're going
hustle
to be...
up. Look at Cameron. This is the saddest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Okay, relax. All right.
Individual Gang sent $5, digging the content. Thank you. Vlad sent $5. Nick reminds me of Jesse Pinkman in that clip. All I want is a righteous politician to ruthlessly purify the nation along ethnic, Christian, nationalistic lines where America is made the land of opportunity again.
Yep.
Yeah, all of us want
Is that a Breaking Bad reference?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Bitch! Righteous Muffin sent $5. I have a song request to hear y'all's reaction. Oy vey by Lucas Gage. You can find it on Twitter.
We will check it out.
We will check it out. Okay, that brings us up to date on Entropy. No, that was Power Chat. Entropy, up to date. Thunderstorm 9 sent $10 on Rumble. Heard a lot about this Hitler guy. I might vote for him. How do I say that? A Risenrian. A Risenrian? I think it's like a play on Risenarian.
Oh.
Rebecca is blonde Murdoch Chan.
Hey, that is such a fine compliment.
Nice. That was a great show. Do they
it was
still
so
have?
good. I don't think there are any more episodes.
Oh, maybe they'll come back. Skitten Hunt sent $5 on Rumble. Well, something we need to remember, the propaganda methods that work on us can be reverse engineered for our message, our morality, and our goals. Very true.
There you go.
Yep.
See, that's the way you need to think. Stop being passive. Start being active. Stop reacting. Dictate terms, right? Change the frame. Reframe the way you think. It's so important. This is what I say to Dave and Rebecca all the time. Think differently. Think beyond politics, right? Politics doesn't even matter anymore. Who cares?
Very true. And then over on YouTube, which is, this is weird to hear.
YouTube.
On YouTube, we got Biatch Whoop. Or Beachy Whoop? I don't know how to say it.
Beachy Wop?
BeatchieWup. Beat you up, whatever. Oh, beat you up. Got it.
Oh.
He sent $5.
Oh, thank you,
He
bud.
said, keep it up. Imperius sent $10. Been here since the beginning, Rebecca. I love what this has become.
Thank you so much. Really means a lot to me.
Eric Rush, photographer, sent $4.99. Sure, you guys aren't rich, but you do it for the love of the game, and I respect that. Salute.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Wilford P. sent a interesting little GIF. I can show this on the
that's
screen.
a terrible still of.
That's interesting.
Thank you, Willie.
Thank you very much. Great Oaks from the Little Acorn sent $5. I love you guys. This is scary stuff.
Yep.
Don't be scared. We're going to win. Great Oaks from a Little Acorn sent another $2. Cam is such a great guest. Dude deserves more view.
He does.
Very true. And son of a bee. Where are we?
We got Troy says, awesome monologue. Thank you, Troy.
Troy sent $10. Thank you very much.
that.
Spud Ruckus sent $5. Love you guys. Would love a video essay with Cameron expanding further on his rant tonight. That was so empowering and amazing. Please, more. And please remember to sub to his channel, Men and the City. Let me pull this up on YouTube.
It's at Neomasculinity.
Yep.
Yeah. There it is. Boom.
At Neo-Masculinity. Check out Cameron McGregor's criminally undersubscribed YouTube channel. It is excellent
You should
stuff.
at least have 50,000 subscribers.
Oh, yeah. At least.
So, yes. Make some more content, Cam.
We've got JDK52. Dave, love the way you combed your hair. Looks great when it's up, buddy.
Oh, thank you, JDK. I actually use the Idaho Tallow beard balm in my hair.
You can't help yourself, can
as
you?
a hair pomade.
How come you don't have your you don't have your glasses tonight?
These?
There
they are.
I was just waiting for someone to notice.
A lot of people noticed.
Oh.
They were
in the
rejoicing in the live chat.
Oh no. Well, asshole Dave is back.
He's back. Are we good
Every
on
time you
Super
put
Chats?
on those glasses, I hear Rocket Man.
Rocket Man. All right.
Every time.
We are caught up on Super Chat, so thank you all so much.
All
for
right, let's
supporting
do
the show.
Antelope Hill, and then we will close out. Cameron can go to sleep.
Go to bed, Cam.
All right.
Good night.
Bye.
I'm cutting you out. You're gone. Antelope Hill Publishing, America's leading publisher of dissident right-wing books, is keeping history alive against the regime of anti-white censorship and publishing a new generation of dissident, radical, right-wing researchers, philosophers, polemicists, and writers. They have an eclectic catalog that includes veteran right-wing authors and academics like Kerry Bolton, Dr. Ricardo Duchesne, and Paul Kersey, as well as newer figures like Lord Miles Routledge of Afghanistan, Josh Neal, and Christian Secor, in addition to a long list of original translations or modern reprints of otherwise inaccessible historical works from eras such as Fascist Italy, National Socialist Germany, and even medieval Europe. Their original works include groundbreaking investigations into the causes and funding behind transgenderism and the opioid crisis, books on Christian nationalism and American folktales. Additionally, Antelope Hill contributes to the regeneration of our culture and rebirth of our family values through their top-quality fiction, including books like Let Them Look West and Worlds Separated, and a collection of beautifully illustrated and wholesome children's books. Whatever your interest is, you're bound to find books that you like at Antelope Hill, all professionally published and with cover art that will grace your bookshelves. Help us and help our people by checking out companies that share our values and work to preserve the birthright of our history. Visit antelopehillpublishing.com. And don't forget, you can pick up a Fell For It Again award if you have friends or family that voted for Donald Trump.
Yep.
And you can give them the gift that they will never forget. It'll be the most tremendous gift.
Never forget.
Absolutely.
Well,
All
that's
right.
a show. We will see you guys on Monday. Thank you so much for subbing to us on YouTube. You can find all of our links at thebacklash.net, and we will see you on Monday.
With Harrison Smith from Infowars.
Hey. It's going to be a great show. See you then.